All sports, all the time.
There's heroes and there's legends. Heroes get remembered. Legends never die.
This is the Spoken Podcast.
Hold your ears, folks. It's showtime.
I'm your host, Lance Twidwell.
Man, that kid, he can ball, man. He can ball.
Touchdown, Kansas City!
Patrick freaking Mahomes, baby!
Let's talk some sports, because that's what we're here to do.
You are tuned in to The Spoken.
This is the Spoken Podcast. I am your host, Lance Twidwell. Here inside the Spoken Studios with my guys, Trevor Twidwell.
What's good?
And Eddie Ortiz.
Yo.
Episode 160 is now in full swing, full motion. We are very, very grateful to be here, and we're grateful for you being here with us, whether you're live streaming, podcasting, or YouTubing. We want to thank you for making your time or our time and being here with us as we are going to break down a lot of things when it comes to Chiefs football, when it comes to the NFL as a whole. We're going to, maybe even get some extra thoughts on the MLB, whatever Eddie's got for us in the Eddie Hour, because the Eddie Hour will be coming up momentarily. We might be having ourselves a nice surprise guest today. This is a very weird time of the year where people are taking a breath, taking a break from the NFL season, because the NFL season never really ends, but we're just kind of in that in-between time. The draft hasn't started yet. Free agency's starting to wind down a little bit, and people are just trying to take that little break. I even took a break yesterday. I'm never fully off of Twitter, but yesterday I took myself a nice little break, went on a little trip with my girl, and we had ourselves a great day, but I missed you guys, and I hope you guys missed us, because we have a lot of getting to get to when it comes to what happened this last week, and I've been really trying to think about how I was going to start this show. And first off, I want to start, Trevor, Eddie, how are you guys doing today? I want to just get some real quick thoughts. How's your guys' morale at this current time of recording episode 160?
My morale is great. It's good.
Okay, Trevor, how are you feeling? You're over here sipping your coffee. Hopefully that's coffee. I don't know if it's maybe I have a bullet rye whiskey over there. Maybe, I don't know if Trevor stole some of that. But
Yeah, no, man, I'm feeling good, better now. As far as my normal life, I feel good outside the allergies, but as far as the sports world goes, things are starting to fall into place. So I'm doing all right now, and I'm a serial optimist. So I'm seeing the bright side of a lot of the things.
He's also a serial sheep killer, because he actually skinned a sheep to make that
true.
jacket. So you guys are looking at authenticity at its finest. And to keep on the authenticity side of things, I'm going to be real with you guys. I have had a plethora of emotions this week when it comes to this team, and if anybody follows me on Twitter or on social media, you guys know that I'm not one that is shy of expressing said emotions in the moment of what's going on. And as the week was going on, we had seen that something very unexpected. Actually, it was the very beginning of the week. And I want to do a little Tarantino here, where I get you guys to the end, but I want to bring you back to the beginning to show you how it all started. So we heard this week, unexpectedly, that the Chiefs and Tyreek Hill stalled on contract extension conversations, and that they had allowed him to go seek a trade. And not 2 hours later, Tyreek Hill was traded from the Kansas City Chiefs to the Miami Dolphins. And he got himself absolutely paid with a multi-year contract that got him over $120 million in total and about $72.5 million guaranteed. I was in shambles, and I'm going to tell you why. When we first started this podcast, this show, the Spoken's been around since late 2010. In fact, it was December 6th of 2010 when I started this. But in February of 2019, we decided to make this thing a podcast as well and add to the brand. And I remember one of the first big stories that we inherited as a podcast was the controversy surrounding Tyreek Hill, and at that time was an accusation that he had abused his child, that he had a lot of past abuse with his girlfriend at the time, Crystal Espinal, I believe was her last name. And we were not certain that we were ever going to see Tyreek Hill play for the Chiefs or play in the NFL ever again. He had a lot of criminal situations going on, dating back into his college years in 2014. And we were under the impression that the Chiefs were going to have to just figure out a way to fill that need, fill that hole that Tyreek Hill then created for himself and for his own team. And I remember that fear and that anxiety that I had as a Chiefs fan, as a fan of the Chiefs, a fan of Tyreek Hill, who was just getting into his prime years and really having an opportunity to build with Patrick Mahomes, because he had only played one season with Patrick Mahomes before this controversy took place. And we knew how the 2018 season ended, which was just in sheer sadness with an overtime loss in the AFC Championship at home against Tom Brady and the Patriots. And I knew that the Chiefs were going to have to draft a wide receiver. And that's what they did. They went up and traded up and got Mecole Hardman early in the second round. And we're thinking, okay, this guy could potentially replace Tyreek Hill, because the Chiefs are in panic mode at this time, because we had no idea what was going to happen with Tyreek. And we knew, I think we all felt very confident. And I bet if we go back to our old shows back in April of 2019, that we were still confident that the Chiefs were going to be fine, that they were going to, get things going offensively, and they're going to be right back in the thick of things in the AFC and continue for another chance at getting to the Super Bowl. But I think we all knew deep down that this team had a dramatically better opportunity of getting to said Super Bowl with Tyreek Hill as opposed to not without him. That's the same feeling and sentiment I have to this point. Going back from 3 years from now till 3 years to this very point, to the present day. This team, without question, is better with Tyreek than without Tyreek. And losing him very much frustrated me, because I knew that there was an opportunity here for the Chiefs to extend said window that is right now. We know that the window to win is going to be as long as Patrick Mahomes is playing at the level he plays, or at least close to it. We know there will be a decline as he probably gets into his later 30s. But we know that as long as Patrick Mahomes is in place in Kansas City, in the Chiefs organization, this team is always going to be relevant and always have an opportunity to contend for Super Bowls. But we also know that it goes beyond just Patrick Mahomes. It is his weapons. It is what the core pieces. If you look at the great Yankees teams during Jeter's era, yeah, Jeter was the face, but they needed Jorge Posada. They needed Andy Pettitte. They needed Roger Clemens. They needed the core pieces, Mariano Rivera. They had to have the core four for them to win all those World Series. And I looked at that the same way with Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill, Chris Jones, if you want to throw him in there as well, even Tyrann Mathieu at times. Regardless of which core pieces you felt were core pieces, we all knew Tyreek was one of them. And losing him at the peak of his powers, regardless of what was going on, really stung me, because I felt that it dramatically took down the chances of the Chiefs still contending. Now, I'm not sitting here telling you guys the Chiefs can't contend for Super Bowl still, because I am not somebody that believes that. And I'm hearing ridiculous and outlandish statements out there of people saying the Chiefs are going to miss the playoffs this year. Look, we're not giving our predictions until September. That is a spoken rule around here. That is what we do. We don't give predictions until it's time to give predictions. But if you really believe that the Chiefs aren't making the playoffs next year, you really need to go and get yourself checked. Because I recall early in the Andy Reid era, even middle of the Andy Reid era here in Kansas City, 2013, 2015, 2016, 2017, the Chiefs made the playoffs those seasons, even though Alex Smith was averaging less than 3,600 yards and 23 total touchdowns. There was a season they almost made the playoffs. They went 9-7, and a year Alex Smith didn't throw a touchdown to a wide receiver. So although losing Tyreek Hill is a dramatic loss, no matter who fills his role this year, they won't be Tyreek Hill. Alex Smith doesn't compare to Patrick Mahomes, and that is a significant upgrade at quarterback, and that is why you've seen the Chiefs' trajectory and success go sky high from Alex Smith to Patrick Mahomes, from a good, decent quarterback to an all-time great quarterback. So I'm not worried about whether the Chiefs can't contend this year or not, or moving forward. But I do fear, knowing how the AFC is now structured, how they've been stockpiling talent, and knowing that the Chiefs are a team that can still very much win Super Bowls right now, I didn't feel this move helped the Chiefs dramatically. But, as we all know, and these guys always help me, always try to bring me back down to earth, because I get frustrated and I start just spewing. I start saying my things. You guys know. You guys follow us. You guys see us and what we say on the spoken page on Twitter. You see what I'm saying. I want to give you guys authenticity in the moment. But as the week went by, I started to hear some things that contextualized the move. For one, Tyreek Hill wanted to play closer to home. He said it in his opening press conference with the Miami Dolphins. He said, I can finally have my family in Georgia come to my games in Florida. It's a lot closer to my home. And I don't blame a man that wants to be closer to home. I understand the value of having family. And a man that has taken on the challenges that Tyreek Hill has taken on both personally and professionally, I don't blame this man for going and doing it for that reason alone. But furthermore, Tyreek Hill has missed out on so many opportunities, so much money for things that were proven to be false, that he didn't do, the acts that he didn't commit. The only reason he even admitted guilt in the court of law was because he didn't have the money as a college student to fight it. That's the only reason. And he missed out on millions and millions and millions of dollars early on in his NFL career. You guys realize that previous extension that he got from the Chiefs, he got a third of what he should have gotten. And it's not the Chiefs' fault because they had to protect themselves, given the scenario that something could emerge they're not aware of. That happens. But he missed out on a $100 million contract 3 years ago. And endorsements and sponsorships and just opportunities in itself. So when people last year were upset with Tyreek Hill for not restructuring, I stood with Tyreek Hill. Because it's not his job as an athlete to make money available for his team. If he doesn't, that's great. And we all tip the cap to him. But I'll tip the cap just as tough if I know a man's standing up for what he knows he's worth. And that's why I still stand with Tyreek Hill for going out there and getting record-breaking money. Because he earned it. He deserved it. And I wanted to see my team give it to him. Because I felt he was worthy of that here in Kansas City. But looking at the big picture and understanding that the Chiefs tried to give him as much money as they felt he was worth in Kansas City, which again, me and the Chiefs will never see eye to eye as far as what we think he's worth here in Kansas City. I thought he was worth whatever money it took to get him. But the Chiefs felt different. Tyreek wanted that money, and he was helping on getting what he felt he was worth. He wanted to play closer to home. The Dolphins matched it. They fit what Tyreek Hill wanted at this time of his life and at this point of his career. So regardless of whether it helps the Chiefs or hurts the Chiefs, this is about Tyreek Hill and what he wanted as a man and as a professional athlete. And I tip my cap to him. I respect him for what he does. And after thinking about this throughout this entire week, I respect and appreciate what the Chiefs did as well. Because the Chiefs were looking out for their better interests on how to build a better team moving forward. Is it going to hurt the Chiefs this season? Yeah, I think so. Losing Tyreek Hill is never going to help you, especially in the current state of what this team is. And we're going to talk about this today. We're going to talk plenty about the moves the Chiefs are now making and are going to continue to make, which I'm very much a fan of some of these moves that the Chiefs have been making to not replace Tyreek Hill, but make sense of losing Tyreek Hill. I think that's the context of what we're looking at when it comes to some of these moves, because you can't replace what Tyreek Hill is. He is the most unique weapon we have ever seen in the history of the NFL. I say that confidently. I'm not saying that as a Chiefs fan or a fan of Tyreek Hill, but you can't make it. We talked about this. The only guy I ever even was able to even try to compare him to was Steve Smith. And you can't compare him because he's just that much better of an athlete than Steve Smith. Yeah, guys like that, like guys that you can say maybe.
Anomalous players, man.
But him and Deebo Samuel are just the most unique weapons I've ever seen in the NFL. And him and Deebo Samuel are completely different athletes. Deebo's way bigger, plays more of a running back style, more of a hybrid. But Tyreek is a guy that the defense just fear immensely deep down the field. He almost single-handedly recreated the way defenses play the Chiefs. It is, and no knock on Patrick Mahomes. You guys know what I stand on Patrick. I think he's the greatest quarterback that's ever lived. But Tyreek Hill is the threat, the weapon that made them go, we have to play cover 2 all the time against the Chiefs. Even if they're getting 6.5 yards a carry, we're not stopping. Because that guy could beat us with one play. That's the kind of guy Tyreek Hill is. Do I believe that guy, Tyreek Hill in Kansas City, is going to transition to Miami? No. Because they don't have that quarterback. And that's where Patrick Mahomes and the greatness of what Patrick is comes into play. Is that you're not going to see Tyreek Hill do that. Because as much as I praise Tyreek for making this decision for his family and for his own well-being, his production, the top tier Devontae Adams-esque type production, and being able to go and get Super Bowls and opportunities to get Super Bowls, those days are done for Tyreek. Maybe the Dolphins become a really, really good, formidable team. They lost Brian Flores, and they don't have a top 25 quarterback. So those days are done for Tyreek, and he got his ring. He's contended. He's been to 4 AFC championships. He's played in over 10 playoff games. I'm happy for Tyreek, man. He's got a Hall of Fame career. But there's also going to be a price to pay with going and getting the bag. That he's going to have to realize that part of my career is done, at least for the foreseeable future. So from Tyreek's side of things, I respect it. I admire it. I love the hell out of that guy. He's one of my favorite football players ever. And I really wish he was still here. I hate the fact that he's not going to be here in Kansas City. And it's probably going to take me a couple of years to get used to the fact that he's not going to be here in Kansas City. Seeing him in a Dolphins jersey is going to be really weird. But seeing the Chiefs continue to ascend is what I am more fixated on. What I'm hopeful for, and honestly, I'm still confident in. And that's why I intentionally wore my shirt today that my brother gave me for my birthday, In Veach We Trust. And I ain't trying to be no fanboy here. I know people try to accuse me of that all the time. Don't give a shit. I'm somebody that tries to keep it real. And you know what I'm choosing today? I'm choosing optimism, like others said, serial optimism. That's what I'm going to try to do. I'm trusting that Brett Veach is going to put the right pieces in place, that the Chiefs have the best interests in mind for Patrick Mahomes, for our fan base, for everybody moving forward to be as successful as possible, not pinching pennies. Because if that was the case, I don't know what I could tell you guys today. I'd have to sit here and tell you guys that I'm really worried about the trajectory moving forward. Because I'll say this, that very day that Tyreek Hill got traded, I said it was the stupidest move in the history of the Chiefs. But context matters. And I'm going to sit here in front of this camera and tell you guys, with context considered and knowing the truth of what went back behind the scenes, I don't believe that anymore. I don't believe this is the stupidest move in the history of the Chiefs. I think this could be a move that could either really hurt the Chiefs or really help the Chiefs. And the pressure's on. Because now, Brett Veach, it's on you, bro. You got to go out there and crush ass on all these draft picks. You got 5 draft picks in return for Tyreek Hill. You got an extra first-round pick. You got to make it work, man. Because as much as I'm sitting here now seems kind of defending you now at this point, where I'm saying that I think that this move made sense to both sides, it's only going to make sense for the Chiefs if they do the right thing with these picks. If they get some guys with these picks. They opened up over $20 million in cap by moving on from Tyreek Hill. You got to utilize those dollars in the best way imaginable, because this team, there's no excuse. The new set standards, we've been talking since 2019 when they won the Super Bowl. It is a Super Bowl or bust mentality. So either you make this team better and you let them still be at the top of the AFC, and the AFC that is stockpiled greater than we've ever seen, you failed at your job. And it sucks because with these draft picks, we're not going to know probably for a couple more years whether these draft picks really were the right move or not. But when you can get 5 draft picks for a non-quarterback, it's a hell of a haul. I don't like the trade in itself because I would have rather gotten Jalen Waddle or Xavier Howard because I want sure things. I don't like what ifs. I'm more of a fan of what I know I can bank on. Jalen Waddle, Xavier Howard, guys like that, I can bank on. So I'd have preferred to see that. But I saw Brett Veach last year get us 4 starters in the draft. 4 immediately day one contributors. So I'm going to give him the faith that he can do that again, or at least close to that. If he can get us 3 or 4 starters, day one contributors in this draft, it's a justified trade. Trevor, what are your thoughts?
I mean, we can just end the show now. I mean, that's not. Listen, man. Like, there's a for me, the way I'm looking at it, there's a non-negotiable rule in the dating world when you're out there, you know, and you're trying to find a partner. Always be with someone that wants to be with you. And it seems after the presser, after the things and the statements have been said, it definitely seems like Tyreek wanted out of here. Because we were going to pay him similar. We were going to pay him 85 cents, damn near 90 cents on the dollar than what he got from Miami. Maybe a year off of that deal, maybe not as many years, but a 3-year deal, pretty comparable to what he got in Miami. And he didn't take it. And they ripped up the deal when the Devontae Adams thing, when Devontae's deal came through. So it definitely seemed like, his agent and himself, they tore up the deal that was damn near in place and ready to go. The Chiefs had offered, and it was, from what I've been hearing, it was on the table. Things were ready to rock. We were ready to get him signed and extended. And then Devontae Adams got paid, and he wanted more than that. And I'm sure we were still willing to pay him handsomely because, he's a once-in-a-lifetime talent, as most teams would want to keep him around. Cut damn near anybody other than Tyreek Hill. But I think he wanted out of KC, and I think he's made that pretty clear. I know he's not the most well-spoken guy, but with the words that he did say in his presser, he made it pretty clear that he wanted to be in Miami over Kansas City. He wanted to trade, possible championships and more success in the sport for money, which He's already reached the highest of highs in this sport. He's a champion. He's a multi-Pro Bowler. He's one of the greatest. He's the greatest receiver in Chiefs history. He's arguably one of the most dynamic players in NFL history at this point of his career. So his numbers are going to take a dip. His success is definitely going to take a hit. Less highlight reels on ESPN. Definitely all that stuff's going to go down. It's not going to be nearly the Tyreek that we are accustomed to. But I love Tyreek Hill, man. I know as fans, we tend to fall in love with players. This is one of the guys that I fall in love with. The Tony Gonzalez's and the Jamal Charleses and the Eric Berrys and all these guys that were just their personality, what they did on the field, their passion for the game and what they brought. I'm very thankful for having Tyreek in my memory bank. So many joyful moments, man. So many laughs. So many sad, dark moments that we got through together. It's like that's why I compare it to dating, because we went through so much with this guy. We took his side, we stood by him with all his shit that he was going on, and I'm glad he came out above all of it. And look at this guy, man. What a story. This guy was almost out. If we didn't draft him, who knows if he would have even been drafted. You know what I'm saying? So now he goes from being a guy that almost didn't get drafted. The Chiefs gave him a chance, and now he's the highest paid receiver in NFL history, bro. Yep. That's an incredible story. So with that, I'm super happy for him. Just for that story alone, just for his kids, his kids' kids, his great grandkids, all these things, like that story is forever entrenched in that family tree. That he created that generational wealth from going through the shit that he went through early on in his youth to becoming one of the greatest athletes ever. It's an incredible story, and I'm a big fan of stories like that. So I love Tyreek to death, man. I wish him nothing but success and wealth in Miami. I know it's a great location. Yeah. I can't knock it for wanting to go to Florida. I mean, it's a nice warm weather. So, it's going to be, like I said, it's going to take some years to get used to not seeing 10 on that field with Patrick Mahomes. That's one of the greatest dynamic duos if we've ever seen. Maybe the most dynamic as far as just speed and arm strength together. This one hurts, man. It really does. Like I said, we fell in love with this guy. We're used to having this guy around. Now it's gone. Now it's vacant. Now we got to find. We're never going to win the way we won with Tyreek, just because we got to find different ways to. This offense is just going to be different now. We're going to find different ways, and I fully expect us to. Bring in different guys to impact the game differently and win different ways, and have guys with multiple different skill sets rather than depending on one guy that can just damn near do it all. But which I kind of like the challenge of that, though. I like the fact that we can see what Veach is capable of bringing different guys in. This is a championship caliber team move. This is a Patriots-esque dynasty move. We all know there was a 10-year span where the Patriots never won a Super Bowl, but they were always one of the best teams in the league. They were always a Super Bowl favorite, no matter what. They didn't win for 10 years, but they're always in the AFC Championship game, whether outside of the year that Brady was hurt, even with Matt Castle. They had a great balanced roster all those years, right? So I mean, all these years whether they were always in the fray. So this is one of those moves where this is a very Patriots-esque move. This is a very letting the star player walk, taking the money, and it's a win-win, honestly. Like you said, outside of a non-quarterback player getting 5 picks in the trade, pushing 30, that is a haul. So I mean, it really depends. Like you said, this is my thing. It really depends. If we whiff on these picks, it's unforgivable. That is an unforgivable sin. You're going straight to hell, buddy. You cannot. That is, that's sacrilegious, man.
Can I say something real quick about that? I'm glad you said that right there about it being unforgivable, because also something I didn't even mention in my opening rants, if you will, is you didn't have to trade Tyreek.
No.
That's the key here. They still had at least 2 years of control left on him. So I understand you want to get what you can now while you can, especially when he doesn't technically want to be here if we really want to throw that out there, which I don't know for sure.
Yeah.
But it does look that way considering what I just broke down, what you broke down. Yeah. But the fact that Chiefs could have said, hey, man, by contract, it's binding. You got to play here.
That sucks. You want to leave, but...
And then we can franchise tag you after that if we really wanted to do that.
Then you hit the market at 30-31.
So that's what I'm saying. The pressure cooker is on now.
Yeah, but that goes back to my dating point, my dating analogy. B was someone who wants to be with you and vice versa.
Yeah.
He made it very clear, and supposedly the statement is that him and his agent came into Reed and Veach and said, you know what, I'm not going to play if you guys don't give me this contract. And he wanted the exact contract that he was getting. Imagine being the guy that Tyreek Hill is and taking chump change on the dollar to what the league average was or what the league top pay was for those receivers, and he's been arguably the best receiver of his past 5-6 seasons, or at least the past 4 seasons. And not getting it, and then coming to this point where he wants his money at this point, man. He's won a championship here. He's done his thing. So I get both sides. I really, really do. And I think if we were going to trade him, this is the time to do it. I don't want to hold anybody hostage. I don't want him to think that he, is being held hostage in any way. And who knows, man? We've seen Le'Veon Bell do it. I know there's not a lot of examples of players actually holding out, because once that money starts decreasing, that changes a lot of guys' minds. But, I mean, there's a chance that Tyreek would have just been sitting there, and we're, on our roster, and we could have traded him and had picks and been in the situation that we're in now, and he's just sitting there not playing.
And the Chiefs are a franchise that do not like to have these types of things looming.
Well,
they don't like bad PR.
Not even just that, man.
Yeah.
We have to capitalize on every single season with Patrick Mahomes here.
Right.
This is going to fly by, bro. Patrick Mahomes, before we know it, is going to be gone. And I know that sucks to admit, but these fun years are going to fly by.
Yep.
As Patriots fans. And they had Tom Brady for 20 damn years. You know what I mean? So
right.
I guarantee you a lot of that is a blur.
6. Yeah. Think about it. Patrick Mahomes, this is his 6th season.
Yeah, man. So
that's nuts.
We got to capitalize. Yeah, we got to capitalize. So if we can go get, some stud guys, and I know we got a lot of draft talk down the road here. If we can capitalize and go get, 2 starting receivers, a couple starting edge players from this draft is loaded with those 2 positions in particular.
Yeah.
So I'm excited. I'm sad and excited at the same time. It's like I said, I keep bringing it back to the dating world, but like you broke up with a girl, you guys had a lot, but you ended up going your separate ways. But then you hit the dating market again. You feel good about yourself. It's a similar feel. Like there's darkness and there's happiness to it. So for me, it's a win-win. Tyreek got his money. Tyreek got generational wealth. He worked for every damn cent that he just got right now. He's in a great location. He's closer to his family. That's a win. Casey just got one of the biggest hauls ever for a receiver and via trade. Arguably the biggest trade acquisitions for one receiver ever. So, and then we got the most cap space. We're making moves. We just signed Ronald Jones. We got another skill player there. We got Marquez Valdez-Scantling, another skill player there. May not be a major dynamic guy, but another guy that can stretch the field, keep this offense afloat. We still got a lot of changes to come here, man. This draft's going to be fun. Maybe the most exciting draft we've ever had with the most amount of picks. But this is what championship teams do. This is what championship front offices do. Us as fans, we fall in love with the players. The front office cannot do that. Front office cannot fall in love with players. They got to be able to cut bait with players. This is a cold business. I respect the shit out of Brett Veach for doing this. I really, really do. And he's gained that much more respect from me over this. Because this is not easy, man. Tyreek is not only was he a fan favorite, he was a favorite amongst Coach Reed, Brett Veach. They all love this guy.
Players, yes.
This guy's given us some of the best memories of this championship run and just this success we've had over the last handful of years. So
to that point about I mean, guys, gotta think about this. And Eddie, I can't wait to get your thoughts, because I know you and I did not see eye to eye for like 4 days this week about this, and we did talk about this before. I know usually we talk about the show, talk about this stuff on the show for the first time.
Yeah.
Not this week. This has been an exception for sure. But look at all the highlight plays in just the last 6 seasons. By the way, 6 Pro Bowls in a row for Tyreek. He's never not been a Pro Bowl.
Yeah.
3 times or 3 of the last 4 years, all first team, all
not
pro.
Bad for a kick returner.
Not bad, for a return specialist.
Yeah.
But also the fact that you're looking at this could be a blessing for Patrick Mahomes as well. I know that sounds nuts, but think about the narrative that's always been, about, well, he's great. He's got Tyreek and Travis Kelce.
Yeah.
Well, now he's got Travis Kelce, and Travis Kelce is now in his mid-30s.
He's 4-1 without Tyreek.
And yes, exactly. 4-1, averages 374 yards per game, 8 touchdowns, 1 interception, 103 quarterback
picks,
rating.
yeah.
Okay, only one interception.
Oh, one interception.
And it was in the game that was Patrick Mahomes' first career game.
Yeah.
He's against the Broncos. So just take that. Yeah. So basically, he's had 8 straight touchdowns without Tyreek Hill in 5 games. Small sample size, but the point is, this could change a lot of narratives and a lot of minds. If you see Patrick Mahomes go out there and drop another 4,900 yard season, 40 touchdowns, 12 picks at most, without Tyreek Hill for an entire season. Like, think about that for a second. So I just want to throw that out there. I think this could be a blessing for Patrick Mahomes as well when it comes to legacy. Because and Trevor brought that up about getting the haul. Think about this. Guys, Randy Moss is arguably considered the greatest receiver of all time. Yep. If not number 2, number 3 at worst, right?
Yep.
The Raiders traded him to the Patriots in his prime for a 4th-round pick. The man was 29 years old.
Goddamn Patriots.
Got a 4th-round pick.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, they got to the Super Bowl and lost, but I'm saying, like,
him and
Tom Brady had the greatest seasons ever at that point for both a quarterback and a wide receiver. Randy Moss had 22 touchdowns that next season. No one's ever done that again.
Yeah, it was
right?
An insane year.
Unbelievable, yeah. So you think about that, like what the Chiefs just got for a guy who was only a year younger than Randy Moss, who was arguably the GOAT. got 4 additional picks and 4 better picks.
So what you're saying is Valdez Scantling is going to have 22 touchdowns.
We'll get to that in just a
Okay.
second. Eddie, I want to get your generalized thoughts on this whole situation.
Man, I want to start with what Trevor said about fans falling in love with the player and how the front office can't. We saw what happened with Derek Barry. The front office fell in love with the person. We signed him for a crazy deal at that point for a safety,
That's a good point.
and look what happened. It bit us right in the ass.
It's the same situation too.
It's the same exact
Eric Berry beat
situation.
cancer. There was
Yep.
dark times.
So
we went through it with him.
Yeah.
And the Chiefs fell in love with the player, and you see what happened.
No.
It was just a terrible deal. It was just something that the Chiefs, it bit them in the ass, and they didn't want to repeat something that had already happened in the past. We can't pay this player too much money because we don't know
It's a lot of money.
it's way too much. And at the end of the day, you have to build this team around Patrick Mahomes, not around an aging wide receiver. If you would have paid Tyreek Hill, it would have given Fred Beach a lot less to work with to build that defense that they really, really need. So I feel like the Chiefs offer what they could to still be able to build a somewhat competitive defense and kind of help Patrick Mahomes a little bit. So they tried. Tyreek Hill obviously chose the money. I don't blame him. That's his right. He can do whatever he wants with his life, and he chose money. I'm okay with that. At the end of the day, this is a business, and the Chiefs. I believe that the Chiefs made the right decision here. A lot of fans are heartbroken. It sucks to see Tyreek Hill go, but at the end of the day, I think this was the best move and the only move that the Chiefs could have made this offseason. You brought up the whole, well, technically they still had 2 years of control on Tyreek Hill. Yes, but let's say this season Tyreek Hill has a down year. And then the next offseason you try to tag him and he doesn't want to play. Then you trade him. You lose value on that player. So you're not going to get as much as what you could have gotten this season. This season we got 5 picks. Next year, him only having being franchise tagged or anything, those draft picks drop. You can probably get up to 2 or 3 picks, and you're not looking at a late first round pick. You're looking at mid round picks at that point. So I think the Chiefs only had one option here. Tyreek. It felt like Tyreek didn't want to be here, so the Chiefs' arms were tied. I think it came to the point to where it didn't matter what the Chiefs did. The Chiefs did to keep him here. I think Tyreek's mind was already set on.
He was hell bent. He was hell bent on being the top paid receiver.
So I think that's what put both. It was not repairable.
And I would say this. I think you guys, I don't know if you guys will agree with me on this, but I do confidently believe Tyreek Hill is still here in Kansas City if Devontae Adams doesn't get that contract with the
Yeah,
Rams.
there was already a contract in place.
Apparently, before he went to Dubai or whatever, the deal was already agreed upon, and then obviously
Reset the market. Devontae
while he
reset
was
the
out
market.
there, Devontae got traded. He signed the new contract. Tyreek was like, "I want to be the most paid."
Yeah.
Yeah,
And that's what kind of fucked the Chiefs.
Well, that's why I respect the Chiefs, man, because somewhere along there, you got to draw a line. There's got to be a line that if someone crosses it, look, hey, man, like I told you, this is where we're at. If you go across that line, like we're done.
Yeah.
That's respect, bro. That's a man.
I feel like
being a man of his word.
Brett Veach did everything he could to keep Tyreek Hill here, but it felt like I said, it felt like the Chiefs didn't matter what they did. Like they could have given more years, but a little bit less money. He still wouldn't have taken it, or if they would have given him a little bit less years, some good money, he still probably wouldn't have taken it. As to what I read, Tyreek Hill's first option of anything was Miami. Go to Miami, regardless. His mind was already set in Miami and the dollar signs.
Supposedly he'd spent the last week in Miami before he even signed the deal.
Well, that's where he goes in his offseason.
So he lives in Miami.
Yeah.
That's his house. He has a house in Miami.
He trains in the offseason there.
Yeah, he lives in Miami. So I think Tyreek wanted to be close to home.
Yeah.
He wanted to live near there. So I felt like Tyreek's mind was already out of Kansas City.
That started a year and a half, or a little over a year and a half ago, when he refused to restructure the contract.
And
that was kind of the first.
I don't blame him either.
Yeah.
That's his money. You don't touch his money.
You don't have to do shit.
You don't exactly. He does not have to fucking oblige by it. He does not. He could look like an asshole. I don't care. That's his
Chiefs
money.
don't have to pay you either, right?
Yeah, that's his money. They still have to pay. That's your contract. You know what I mean? So I feel like the Chiefs tried, but I respect Brett Veach for what he did. I think it was time to move on. I'm not gonna say obviously getting rid of a player that big. Is
I wouldn't have been able to make that decision. I'm like, here, just take the money.
I'll
stay
admit
here,
that too.
please.
I'll admit that as well.
But that's when you bring back the whole what Trevor said. You can't, as a front office, you can't fall in love with the player. You just
and to
cannot.
your point, and that's a good point too, because we've seen previous GMs with the Chiefs. I don't know that Carl Peterson doesn't make that move.
John Dorsey would have kept Tyreek.
John Dorsey, who drafted Tyreek, would have kept him.
Yeah.
I guarantee you Scott Pioli's ass would have done the same thing. You know what I mean? So maybe Brett is everything we needed at the right time at GM.
Eric Berry, I feel like Eric Berry, Clark Hunt stepped in and said, "Here's your contract."
Yeah.
I feel like
the fans love you, man.
I feel like Clark Hunt did the same. I can't guarantee because I have not seen it, but I feel like Clark Hunt could have came also to Brett Veach like, give him the money.
That's what I love about this. That we learned from that.
Yeah, give him the money, and then I think Brett Veach was more of a.
Well, you brought up the Eric Berry contract. I can tell you guys for certain, I know this from people that actually were in the situation. Clark Hunt came down and told the Chiefs brass, "You're paying Eric Berry.
Yeah.
He's staying."
I remember hearing that too. Yeah.
That actually did happen.
Yeah,
so you're right. He does pick and choose.
I'm sure
mistake.
Clark Hunt could have potentially.
If he wanted to, yeah.
It's like, hey, we're keeping Tyreek, but I feel like Brett Veach and Clark Hunt were communicating throughout the whole process to where Veach was confident enough to where it's like, hey, it's time to trade him. We're gonna be able to build around Patrick Mahomes. We're gonna be able to build that defense that we.
There had to be
really
assurances.
Yes.
There had to have been assurances.
Because I'm sure Clark Hunt, as an owner, you don't want to see your top tier player.
And you also brought up, several people have brought up like the fact that, okay, this trade doesn't happen if Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes aren't even like not only told about it, but have to essentially sign off.
Yeah.
Like I would imagine if Patrick Mahomes like banged the table and said, "No, you're not trading Tyreek. Pay him whatever he wants. I know he doesn't want to be here right now, but money talks."
Yeah.
Like, I bet if the Chiefs matched that offer, Tyreek would have significantly considered, because we saw reports 30 minutes before the trade was finalized that he was still considering staying in Kansas City.
That he was torn, but then they came out and said that it's like, well, his first destination was always Miami.
Yeah. So ultimately, the pendulum would have swung that way.
It took a whole 35 minutes for this to happen.
Yeah. It literally, the news.
But think about the incentives.
Yeah.
Like, you get that money, and you get to stay with Patrick Mahomes in the offense you've been making a Hall of Fame career.
I mean, honestly, if I'm Tyreek, I take the money in Kansas City and stay here. But, to each his own, man.
Yeah, but at the same time, I feel like the Chiefs just didn't have the money. Yes, they had the cap space.
85 cents to the dollar we were offering,
they
bro.
had the cap space to bring him back and give him top dollar. But
if the Chiefs wanted to pay him, they could have. They could have.
But they wouldn't be able to build that defense. They wouldn't be able to bring another top player. They couldn't do much at the draft. So their hands were tied. They
It's a
would have been
win-win.
they would have been so tied to where
right now
we probably couldn't we've seen news about Stephon Gilmore, Chiefs reaching out to Stephon Gilmore and probably bringing him here. If Tyreek Hill had signed that contract, we would not hear any news about Stephon Gilmore, even Kansas City even consider him at all, because they wouldn't be able to afford it. So now this opens to where the teams can bring in players and complete the team overall instead of just the offense.
Well, if you look at the track record of what Brett Veach has done over the last 2 off seasons, he's essentially told us that he's choosing Orlando Brown Jr. and Joe Thuney over Tyreek Hill. Because if you look at it, you're talking about the contracts that he's got to pay Orlando Brown, knowing when he traded for him, and gave up multiple picks to get him.
Yeah.
Then we're going to have to pay this guy $100 million, and then we go and give Joe Thuney the richest contract a guard has ever had. You got $37 million guaranteed attached to Chris Jones. Like, he essentially told us this. We didn't really look at it that way.
Richard Seymour walk.
Yeah.
Remember that?
And
That's what this reminds me of a little
bit. And the crazy thing is that we talked about who would you rather keep, Orlando Brown or Tyreek Hill, and I picked Orlando Brown, but because you're protecting your money maker, your money grab. You're protecting your quarterback, who I believe is a more important role than your wide receiver.
Going to be here long term.
Positional value alone, yes.
So I felt like Orlando Brown, paying him instead of Tyreek Hill was the better decision then, because I feel like protecting your quarterback, your most valuable player, the player that can bring championships to this team. Which
I won't pretend. I agreed. I said Tyreek Hill because Tyreek Hill is such a unique weapon. But
It's
you
always been Tyreek Hill.
ultimately are right because of positional value, because of what Orlando Brown Jr. actually means to this team. I honestly, though, I'm going to be real with both of you guys right now. I'm going to be as candid as I can. I would still pick Tyreek Hill. I know that sounds nuts, but that's how special he is. So you guys understand
that shows that we fell in love.
we can sit here and basically sign off on this trade now because there's really nothing we can do about it
He's
anyway.
a bigger game changer than Orlando.
But yeah, even going back, I'm still picking
his impact is
Tyreek.
much
Yeah,
greater,
since
but-
the news came out, I remember you were pretty pissed and you were pretty
Putting it mildly.
furious.
Both of you guys were upset, and I was more of a. I was looking at the return value. I was looking more at the draft picks. I was looking, okay, now this team can go out there and actually build a good caliber team for Patrick Mahomes. A team that can actually go out there and compete. So I felt like it was the right move since it happened, since the news broke. I feel like, okay, it's something the Chiefs had to do sooner rather than later. Just to get the most out of it now.
Eddie thinks we have him on the show because of his Mac, or because of what the other jokes he makes on the show. It's because you bring the calm. Because if it was just Trevor and I every single week, this would be the Hotheads podcast. So trust me, while we're sitting over here fuming, you're over here dumping water on us, just letting that fire simmer a little bit.
So like, and a lot of my predictions, or a lot of my takes, I try to think more about the entirety of the thing instead of just focusing on one single thing.
Big picture.
I try looking at the big picture. Yes, obviously I wasn't too thrilled to see the news, but when I saw what we're getting in return, it was like, okay, we can definitely make this work. We have 12 picks, I believe, in this.
The most cap
space. 12 total
and the most picks.
Yeah, and we had the most picks, the most cap space. I was like, we can definitely
make it happen.
Yeah, we can definitely make this work.
Yeah.
And Brett Beach went out there, just signed Ronald Jones. He went inside Scantling. He went inside Juju.
Signed a new linebacker.
And then now you're looking to bring Stephon Gilmore in here. If
maybe
not,
Arden Key.
Trading for the Giants corner, Bradbury. So
yeah.
that's also in the conversation. That's something we wouldn't have had Tyreek gotten that expensive contract here in Kansas City. So I feel like this team is getting more of a complete feel instead of just being offensive heavy. I feel like we're gonna be equal overall now.
And this will essentially fast track Orlando Brown Jr.'s contract extension as well.
Because we might see his contract by training camp.
Oh, I think there's no question about it because if they don't get it done, I think there's a certain cutoff that you can't. I think you have to wait a certain period of time, if I'm not mistaken, if you don't get it done in time.
And I think that's one of the main reasons they restructured Joe Tooney, too.
Yes, they stretched out $9.5
So
million.
Orlando Brown's contract, I
paid
do
next year,
believe
though.
it's coming.
He's worth every penny, too.
Yes.
Joe Tooney is worth every penny.
Especially when he stepped up and filled other roles when he was playing with a broken hand all year.
When Orlando Brown went down,
filled in on the Bengals game.
Yeah, he was incredible. And he was playing with a broken hand.
And you have two guys, Creed Humphrey and Trey Smith, you're paying pennies on right now, so you can spend that money on Joe Tooney.
And the right tackle was also being.
We have no idea who's even going to be the starting right tackle right now. Like whoever it's going to be, you're not going to be spending big money on.
Exactly.
We've seen the top tier right tackles go. You're probably going to draft a guy. Probably going to have Andrew Wiley start there for a while. You have depth pieces there you added recently.
I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
So I said, overall, the big picture, I think that the Chiefs are going to be more of a complete team. I think
sign another
it's
tackle,
more. This team is going to be more of a threat this season after the Tyreek Hill trade than with Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
And Tyreek Hill would have instilled that obviously that fear on defenses, but like I said, it would be offensive heavy to where Patrick Mahomes and that offense had to go right for them in order to win games. Now I feel like it can go either right or wrong in either way, and I think we'll still come up with the victory.
Well, when you have a transcendent player at quarterback, which is very rare in this league, there's only a handful that come every few decades, honestly. And Patrick Mahomes just happens to be one of those transcendent special talents at the quarterback position. You just don't overpay for skill players, man. You just don't. You can't. There's no success story of any Super Bowl franchise that won multiple Super Bowls or had Super Bowl chances for years that overpaid for skill players. You don't overpay for running backs. You don't overpay for receivers. I know the trend right now is that receivers are getting the bag because this is a pass-heavy league and things are starting to change in this game. So $30 million a year might become the new norm for the special top-tier receivers. They can go play for trash teams. I don't care, man. Like the Chiefs won this more than the Dolphins did. They absolutely did. You just don't. Like I made a Facebook post, like all the teams that overpay for like skill players, they're bad teams. Cardinals, they haven't won shit in the longest time. They went overpay for DeAndre Hopkins, who's been nothing but banged up since he's been there pretty much. He's great, don't get me wrong, he's healthy, he's great, but they haven't won shit. Raiders just overpaid for Davante Adams. No one thinks they're going to win this division. No one thinks they're a Super Bowl favorite. It's cool, you can have them. Green Bay is going to move on. Aaron Rodgers is still going to be great this year, probably with whatever receivers they have, because he's a transcendent talent.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And then the Miami Dolphins, in my mind, overpaying for a guy that's aging and depends too much on his speed, and that's going to decrease as these next few years go on. The Chiefs are going to be fine because what? We have a transcendent talent at quarterback. That's what matters the most to me. Bringing guys that are bringing the Jujus, bringing the Jarvis Landers as possible, bringing the Valdez Scalings.
And
Pat's gonna get the best out of those
and
guys.
let's say Juju works out even better than what we hope. I'm just saying, let's just
he's a playmaker,
pretend, right? If he clicks with Patrick Mahomes, you don't think the Chiefs are going to go out there next year and say, "Hey, what would it take for us to keep you here long term, for long term?"
Right. His mark is going to go up significantly high if he has like a 1,300 yard season, 8-9 touchdowns. It'll go up.
It's not going to be nowhere near to what.
Not Tyreek's. No. Because I don't think Juju's a wide receiver 1. I think he's a very good wide receiver 2.
Yeah,
I think that's what he is. And then the irony of all this, man, I got to put like not to put a bow on this because I think we got a lot more to discuss when it comes to this. Is the irony of Tyreek Hill gets his Super Bowl, the Chiefs win it where? In Miami. Like, it was just kind of like poetic how that all like took place. He made the biggest play of the game on Wasp. And that's the point I was going to make about Tyreek too, about why he was so special here in Kansas City as well. And I don't mean to talk about him like he's dead, but
it's 3 hours
the era's done before I really expected it to be done. I felt this era was going to go on for at least 2 more years. Yeah. And I felt that Travis Kelce was going to be gone before Tyreek just because of age. But that's how the weirdness of the NFL is in this offseason. But think about like all the craziness that has gone on just the last 3 seasons. You know, Tyreek gets injured in 2019, the very first week of the season. Shoulder injury against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Sammy Watkins has this humongous 3-touchdown game, right? Yeah, we're thinking, oh shit, Sammy's going to be the guy we've all been waiting on to be. And no, that doesn't happen. No, Tyreek comes back, has 860 yards, and I think 8 touchdowns, and only like 11 weeks of football. And it was just unbelievable to see what he did. He has all these humongous plays, run. You got time to run Wasp. Goes to who? Tyreek Hill. And, 2018, Eddie, you and I were at that game against the Ravens. 4th and 9.
4th and 9, yeah.
Patrick was running for his life. Matthew Judon's all up on his ass. Chucks it across to who? Tyreek Hill goes and makes the play of the game. And it just goes on. Chad Henne fills in for Patrick Mahomes against the Cleveland Browns in the 2020 divisional round. Goes to who? Tyreek Hill.
The left-hand toss.
The play that saved our season just this last year against the Packers, 3rd and 10. Who does it go to? Tyreek Hill. So trust me when I say we can sit here and I again, I'm feeling better as the week is going on. Yeah, I'm sitting here trusting but these are huge shoes to fill. And the Chiefs are going to have to figure out ways to close big games out in a different way now. They're going to have to figure out a new way because Tyreek Hill was always that answer. He was always that guy. Travis Kelce would make big plays, but when you needed the play, I always felt like it went to Cheetah, man. Yeah. I always felt like he was that guy. So now, Trevor, I think you make a good point about this, man, about the transcendence, about how you have these guys, Aaron Rodgers. It wouldn't shock me at all if Aaron Rodgers still threw for 4,500 yards and 30 touchdowns. Because he's just, they find ways. But you also want to make it as easy as possible for these guys. Because I guarantee you, even though Patrick Mahomes probably was like, okay, fine, do it. I guarantee you this man wasn't happy about this trade.
Yeah, we're not done yet.
Because he knew he knew the value of Tyreek Hill more than anybody.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say, and we haven't even mentioned that the head coach that we have somehow finds stars at wide receiver.
We got Tyreek in the 5th round.
Yeah,
so.
we got right. So somehow we can't forget the fact that Andy Reid is a genius when it comes to receivers, and he's pretty much had a star with the Eagles and then with the Chiefs. So
or at least made someone into a star.
Yeah, and made someone who you did not expect to be a star. So I really feel like this team, it's gonna find its next wide receiver star, and I'm just gonna be here for it, man.
I'll tell you guys this. I don't know if you guys saw the tweet I put out there. I dug way deep into Andy Reid's career. 23 years as a head coach. Andy Reid has only taken a wide receiver in the 1st round twice. Yeah. Twice. And one of them was Jeremy Maclin in 2009. The other was Freddie Mitchell in 2001. We know that Jeremy Maclin ended up becoming a baller in this league. But that says something. That says something about Andy Reid's ability, like you just said, to be able to get the most out of receivers that at times looked like low value, low market, low expectation guys, and ended up becoming something that is a pivotal character in that. Now, to your point about Tyreek Hill, Trevor, 5th round pick, sure. But I think we all knew that he had the talent to be a second round, first round pick.
Of course.
Because the only reason he fell that far is because of the off-field issues that we thought he was having. So
but I mean, I will say this too. I mean, you talk about Jeremy Maclin and whoever else. Who was the other guy? Freddie Mitchell?
Freddie Mitchell,
so,
no one.
Two guys that were obviously had good careers, and he got the best out of them with okay talent at quarterback. Now he's going to be getting the best out of these guys with arguably the best talent ever at quarterback. You got to think about that too. So we can go get a first-round guy, a second-round guy, wide receiver. And who knows what Patrick Mahomes can get out of these guys.
We talk about all the time about Albert Wilson got paid because of what? Patrick Mahomes. We talk about Byron Pringle getting that $6 million guarantee from the Bears.
Wilson got paid with the Dolphins.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's another ironic thing about it. But yeah, you're right. Like I agree with you, Trevor. From my concern, because like you just said about you don't want to waste seasons with Patrick Mahomes. That's why I was worried about trading Tyreek Hill, because I felt initially you letting that type of talent go could be the opening of that door. So I just want to make sure that Brett Veach answers the bell. And to me, the best way of replacing Tyreek Hill, because again, you can't just do a 1-for-1 and say, oh, that just replaced Tyreek Hill. There are no other Tyreek Hills. The best way of doing it is what you just said, Eddie, about replacing it through the defense. You've got to stack the defense. I understand there was a meltdown in the second half of that AFC Championship against the Bengals, but we all have to acknowledge the fact the defense couldn't get pressure on Joe Burrow. They couldn't get him on the ground when just a week ago he almost got double-digit sacks. So you have to stockpile pressure on the other quarterbacks, especially even more so now because the AFC just got that much better at quarterback. Justin Herbert's got another year under his belt. Derek Carr just got arguably the best receiver in football on his team. You have Russell Wilson coming to your division, one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Lamar Jackson's going to be healthy. Joe Burrow just played in the Super Bowl. You know his confidence was already sky high. He's feeling even better about himself with a better offensive line. Deshaun Watson is going to play eventually with the Browns, and that is a very talented team. With a great offensive line, by the way. The Colts just got Matt Ryan, a wily veteran who every single year damn near throws 4,000 yards. I mean, he's had 4,000 yards in 12 of the last 13 seasons.
Bills are still the
unbelievable.
Bills. Yeah.
So the point I'm trying to make is you have a surefire Hall of Famer and quarterback who's in the prime of his career. You still have Travis Kelce, a great offensive line with the mind of a madman at head coach and Andy Reid, with, I think, solidified the best 3 head coaches in the division just in this team alone. Yeah. A lot of advantages here, but goddamn, do they got to get better at getting to the quarterback. And they're nowhere near close, which is why I still stand on this rock, guys. I still stand on this hill, and I will gladly die on it because of the fact, even more so, they just added all these picks. Trade whatever you can to get Josh Allen from Jacksonville. I'm preaching it, man. I know they can go and draft a guy.
I don't think you have to trade that much to get him.
That's my point.
I think
even more so.
A fourth and a fifth, you'd get him.
Okay, let's say that's the case. Let's say that's the case.
Fourth and a fifth.
That's a common sense move, again, with the relationships you have with Jacksonville, with Doug Peterson, Joe Cullen coming over here.
Because they just paid a shit ton of receivers and other players, and they have to extend him coming up soon, so I think we can extend him.
They had to cut Miles Jack for cap casualty. So
and they know they're going to pay him.
Yes, so you give Jacksonville more draft picks to build their team around Trevor Lawrence. I know people are thinking this is nuts, but it's really not. Because remember just a year ago, around this time, we were sitting here saying, there's no way the Ravens would trade Orlando Brown Jr. to the Chiefs. And what happens? Yeah. They fucking get the guy. So my point I'm making is I think it's a realistic scenario. I think it's the best scenario because as I've been preaching, I prefer what ifs or what ares as opposed to what ifs. Josh Allen, we know what he is. This guy can be a premier pass rusher. He's 24, soon to be 25 years old, still on his rookie deal. Chiefs can maximize because, as we know, the Chiefs are now, we have a tendency meter here when it comes to Brett Veach and where he spends and where he doesn't spend. Where he likes to spend is offensive line and defensive line. He hasn't been great at defensive line, but he spends money there. We've seen that with Chris Jones and now with Frank Clark, obviously getting their humongous contracts.
Protect your quarterback, get after the quarterback.
So what do? Stay on brand. Go and get Josh Allen. Trade whatever you do. If it was a 4th or 5th, holy shit, Trevor! Oh my God, I would love to see the Chiefs only have to give up a 4th or 5th.
I don't think you have to give up too much to get him.
I think it would take a 1st round pick. I do.
Yeah,
because they took him 7th overall just 4 years ago.
Amari Cooper just got got for 5.
But that's because of his contract. He had $20 million a year on his contract.
But they know they're going to have to pay him next year.
Right. I'm saying, though, that with
They just paid a shit ton of players.
giving positional value, we know that the defensive edge rush is more valuable than wide receiver. Yeah. And I think that's what the Chiefs would have to do. Let's say they have to give up the 30th overall pick. Are we crying about that? No. We're all stoked as hell because they just got a first-round value player at 24 years old, and then you go and give him a 4-year deal worth $80 million. You got yourself shored up at edge rush.
Arden Key, who's a 25-year-old pass rusher. Get Arden Key, and then Frank Clark immediately becomes a rotational guy.
Piece. Go get Melvin Ingram back. Yep. All of a sudden, you have a respectable defensive rush. Do I think they'll be a top 10 in sacks?
Draft a guy in the second round.
If you can go from 29th to 16th, this defense, they're in the Super Bowl again.
Yeah.
That's the only, I get it. They had a meltdown. Patrick Mahomes played like shit in the second half. But it shouldn't always have to be whether if Patrick Mahomes is historic or not historic, that's the determining factor whether the Chiefs should win. Yeah. No, he should be able to have average to bad games sometimes and still be able to win. How many times do we see Tom Brady have bad games in the playoffs and they still find a way to win because they're defense?
Look at Eli Manning.
Yes, exactly. Won 2 Super Bowls as a bad quarterback in those games.
Granted, the league has definitely changed since those days.
No, I get it.
But defense wins championships.
Defense.
It was true. That is, and that still holds true. Most of the, even the last handful of Super Bowls we've seen, the defensive, like when we got our asses beat by the Bucs, that defense was insane. The best defensive line in the league. So that definitely, getting after the quarterback is damn near the biggest formula to winning Super Bowls as it is having a transcendent quarterback. They're almost. I mean, I would still take the transcendent quarterback, but having a team that leads the league in sacks and gets after the quarterback better than anybody, that gives you the best.
Look at the math. Look at the math. Tom Brady has won 7 Super Bowls. Never once did he win any of those Super Bowls without at least the 8th best defense in the league. Yeah. So Patrick Mahomes has won 1 Super Bowl so far.
Never had a superstar receiver outside of Randy Moss, and they didn't win the Super Bowl.
But yeah, exactly. That should show you how important defense is.
Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes has 1 Super Bowl win. That year, the Chiefs finished 7th in defense. It's that simple. Yeah. And you know what's funny? Patrick Mahomes had his worst statistical year that year.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know he missed games, but even if he'd have played all 16 that year, he would have still finished with less than what he had in 2018 and 2020. In 2018, 2019, or 2018, 2020, and 2021, Patrick Mahomes had significantly better seasons than he had in 2019. But what mattered? He had what he could rely on the defensive side. The Chiefs could get after the quarterback and guard the pass. And what they do, they go out there and win the fucking Super Bowl. And it's even more imperative now because you're not going to be facing Ryan Tannehill and the Titans in the AFC Championship anymore. No, you're going to be facing a Hall of Fame quarterback after Hall of Fame quarterback to even get there. Yeah. That's what's going to happen here. The Chiefs' road is that much tougher. And I say bring it the fuck on because I believe in this team more than any other team still. It hurts losing Tyreek Hill, but damn it, you guys got the homer out of me again, man, because I truly believe these little small moves are all we need, because I've been preaching this too. Even before the Tyreek Hill move, I said, these teams are overspending on veteran free agents
while they're zagging, bro.
Because they have to just get within arm's reach of the Chiefs.
For right now. We're playing for the next 10 years.
They're doing what they can just to get in arm's reach. Yeah. The Chiefs are already there. So now you got to do what you got to do to even get to where they are. These teams have caught up a little bit. We have to admit that. But if I'm going to sit here right now, and let's say this is September today, we're ready for the prediction show. I am picking the Chiefs to win the AFC West, and I would have them as one of the top 2 to 3 seeds in the AFC.
And that's right now. Wait till we got moves to make, man.
You're preaching now. Do you know what I mean? Like we're talking about some real shit here. Yeah. So I'm still fired up. I still have not lost hope in this team. And was I angry? Hell yeah. Still a little bit am. Yeah. Because I'm not ready to give up on what Tyreek was to this offense.
Hurts, man.
But I can give this team a little bit of faith because of what Brett Veach did last offseason with overcorrecting and killing it on the offensive line and getting key assets to help this team better their chances to get to another Super Bowl. They failed. I believe this team can get back there. And I think there's a couple key pieces that we've been kind of dropping hints on that I want to segment to, and then we'll get to the Eddie Hour. So we did see that the Chiefs did go out and get Marquez Valdes-Scantling.
Marquez
Valdes-Scantling.
It's Marquez.
So now
he was correcting everybody.
Hey, shout out to Bobby Stroop, Chiefs Patrick Mahomes' personal trainer. Shout out to Bobby Stroop. He actually had a great tweet this week because when they signed Marquez Valdes-Scantling, he said, man, the Chiefs got 3 lawyers now on their team. Marquez Valdes-Scantling, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and Juju Smith-Schuster. Got a bunch of lawyers on the team. Go ahead, Eddie.
So apparently the Chiefs are working on a trade with the Giants for Bradbury.
That's great.
So
That's great.
So that's what they're working on right now.
Well,
I'd rather have Gilmore, but I like Bradbury a lot.
While I go here and run my mouth a little bit, Eddie, go and look up his career numbers real quick if you can. Just go look up and see what his stats are, because I can't honestly tell you, but I do know he had a really good season last year with the Giants. But the Chiefs did go and get Marquez Valdez-Scantling from the Packers, who was a free agent. The Chiefs gave him a 3-year, $30 million deal. It has incentives to up to $36 million, but it's essentially, like Trevor said, and our guy Arrowhead Live, who, by the way, has had a great week. I'm going to give him some shout-outs in a second. It's essentially a 2-year, $18 million deal. I will say this. I do stand firm on this.
He's one of the best field stretchers in the league, man.
I like the pick, or I like the pickup. I think the Chiefs got themselves a nice galloper downfield, which is what Patrick Mahomes needs. Still stretch the field. Yeah, he's Clay, our producer Clay Wendler, had a great tweet today that I actually want to give him credit for, because it did give me, it helped with my my stomach ailment after I saw them give up $9 million a year to Marquez Valdez-Scantling. 40+ yard catches since 2018.
Yes.
Tyreek Hill has 22, which we all know. Marquez Valdez-Scantling has 18.
Yeah.
And you're talking about a significant
And
difference
he
in
was
targets.
fourth on the Packers in target share.
Yeah,
fourth.
Tyreek was our premier receiver.
If Marquez is second in our team in target share in the offense, he's gonna throw. And think about it too. I know Tyreek was incredible at his ball tracking skills, but regardless of what we think about Tyreek, he was undersized. So all those deep balls that Tyreek went up and got, it's gonna be that much easier for Marquez to go get it. He's 6'4".
Yeah.
He's almost a half Tyreek body taller than Tyreek was, So that's going to make Patrick's job a little easier on those deep chuck it balls where he can go get up and get it. He's 6'4", runs a 4.2.
A couple things I'm worried about when it comes to MVS. I'm going to call him that because I don't want to get his name wrong. But MVS, there's just a couple things, and we talked about this week. He played with Aaron Rodgers, right?
Yeah.
Okay. He played there for 4 seasons with Aaron Rodgers. Davante Adams was the only premier target that Aaron had, right?
targets.
Okay, he did.
Him and the running backs.
But it's hard for me to imagine that a guy that only really had to, I guess, go up against was one other premier target is going to come here and do better when you have 2. Because Juju's going to get fed a lot this season. And we all know Travis is 100% getting his 7th 1,000-yard season, consecutive 1,000 yards. Yeah, McCole. Yes, exactly. Thank you. So my point is, it's just hard for me to imagine. You look at his career highs. So in receptions, it was in 2018, he had 38. That's the highest he's had in a single season. Highest he had in yards was 690 in 2020. And then in touchdowns was also in 2020 was 6. And again, he was playing with a transcendent quarterback.
Yeah.
I'd get it if he was playing with like a Ryan Fitzpatrick or guys like that on bad teams. He just didn't really get an opportunity. Man, he was playing on a team that went to 3 straight NFC championships. I have a hard time believing that this guy's going to come in here and just become this significant asset. I think he's going to be one of those boomer bust players. I heard somebody say that he's going to be like an Alvin Harper. Remember back with the Cowboys where if they needed that deep bomb every few weeks, he'll be that guy. I'm not really going to buy into this, and I just felt personally, and maybe my mind will change. You guys know that my mind does like to change. $9 million a year for a guy like that, isn't it not alarming to you that the Packers, who just lost Davante Adams, have no other proven commodities at wide receiver? Let him walk.
Well, he was saying that the Packers were offering possibly more money. He chose the Chiefs because he wants to win.
Sounds awfully convenient.
I know, because you could stay in the Packers and win too, but without Davante, I don't know. I've never been the guy that was saying he was going to come in here and be like this massive, big, role or big time, playmaker for us. I think he's going to have big plays in spurts. But I think he's an important asset to what we needed. We needed another field stretcher, and he's outside of Tyreek, maybe the best in the league at stretching the field and deep targets. And he's 6'4", man.
Do you believe that's worth $9 million a year, though?
I think so. As what the wide receiver market is right now, what guys are getting right now, I mean, $18 million over 2 years is not that much for me. I don't think that's that big of a deal, especially with us having the most cap space, us having these draft guys, these draft picks that we can move around. I think he's a good fit. I think a lot of teams were trying. The Saints were trying to get him. All these teams were trying to get him. He wanted to come here. I like having guys that want to be here. He's fast. He's tall. He can make plays. I think he's going to be a good asset to this offense. And who knows, man? We still have other pieces to acquire here. Who knows if we go draft another top-tier receiver in this draft. And he becomes kind of more of an obsolete guy. But I don't think he's going to be like a weekly guy where he's making a play. I think he's going to be a guy every 2 to 3 weeks makes a giant play. A big touchdown, a big key play in a game. And that's going to be enough for me. I'll take that. If he ends the season with 8 touchdowns and 850 yards, that's a huge win for me. And I think that's definitely possible for him this year. I think he's going to have
850 yards?
because of the deep plays. I think he can rack up yards on a few receptions per game, and I think that's definitely possible for him. Because look, his yard, I think he was averaging like 18 yards a catch with the Packers. 18 yards a catch. I will take that all day, man.
I just don't know where he's going to get fed enough to do that, though, because, again, you're going from a team that had just one guy to now having potentially three.
Yes, I'm saying, but that's kind of why I like this next step for Pat to kind of challenge Pat to spread the ball around. Now he can actually
open the field.
Well, and think about it, too. He's going to be not as keyed in on as Tyreek was because everyone knew the deep that Tyreek was. But last year, Tyreek became more of a possession guy. He was more like the slants.
Yeah, 111 receptions.
That's what I'm saying. So he became more of a possessions receiver and was a guy that was moving the chains more frequently than being the deep threat. So now
that's also because they were taking that top off.
Juju could become that guy that Tyreek was last year with the quick possession, moving the chains.
Yep.
And we have two legitimate deep threat burners in McCole and Valdez-Scantling. One's extremely tall, one's really fast and good with the ball in his hands after the catch.
Oh, Juju's quick too. So you got three guys that can be considered burners.
Three fast.
And Juju, what I like about Juju is a tough bastard.
I think MVS
he likes the contact.
He ran a 4.4, I think.
Yeah, it was right under 4.4. It was like 4.38.
Juju's a playmaker, which is what he's going to be that Sammy Watkins role, which is I fully believe that's what he's going to be. He's that really good up the seam, really good at catching and going, can take a hit and keep going, is good in the red zone. I love the acquisition. Juju's going to have a big year this year.
I hope so too. I hope he records a TikTok in the halftime.
I'll take all the TikToks, baby.
Well, and then and to add to the bolstering of the offense, or trying to re-bolster the offense, if you will, the biggest thing we talked about in the AFC Championship, what frustrated us offensively, was the fact that the Chiefs just refused to run the ball in the second half. And we've been petitioning for multiple years now, since he left, that if the Chiefs get an opportunity to go get Kareem Hunt back, they should go get him. Well, that is no longer a reality because of the fact that not only is he still currently on the Browns roster, I don't expect him to be, but currently he still is, but also the Chiefs decided to go and make themselves a nice move today. We had heard, I'm going to give credit to where credit is due, our guy Arrowhead Live, my guy Grant, had already dropped the news yesterday on Twitter. He said that the Chiefs were expected to sign Ronald Jones from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And this morning it did drop because the verified accounts decided to make it official that the Chiefs are signing Ronald Jones to a 1-year deal. Now, when it comes to Ronald Jones, I have a lot of thoughts on this, even though I feel that it should just be universally considered a great move in itself. But Ronald Jones is not coming off a great season.
Right.
He had 428 yards rushing off 101 rushes yet last season. Only 10 receptions for 64 yards and only 4 total touchdowns in 16 games.
He was the backup to Lenny from that.
Yeah, and Leonard Fournette's obviously a really good running back, so we understand it.
Yeah.
But the positives on this are far outweigh the negatives in this. I do know that Ronald Jones has had some fumbling problems in his career.
Yep.
I know he's had some drop problems as well when it comes to catching the ball out of the backfield. But I do think that it has a lot to do with how the Buccaneers were handling him, where they were throwing him in cold and expecting him to play hot. Like you said, Leonard Fournette was one getting the bulk of the carries. I even think they had Giovanni Bernard last season too when Ronald Jones got hurt. So it was really hard for Ronald Jones to find that rhythm. I think in Kansas City, that opportunity is there for a multitude of reasons. One, Clyde Edwards-Helaire has not been the first-round back we expected him to be, or a lot of us wanted him to be. And that's okay, because now it's going to become a rotational thing, which I think I think that's the best situation imaginable, because in today's NFL, it's more of a running back by committee type of effort, unless you have a great running back like Derrick Henry or even Aaron Jones. As great as he is, you saw the Packers utilize him with the one back and forths. So unless you have one of those types of guys, it's really okay to do it this way. And the biggest reason why I love having Ronald Jones on this roster is to bring back the whole Kareem Hunt comparison.
Mm-hmm.
Body-wise, they're almost the exact same guy. Kareem Hunt is 5'11", 201 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
Ronald Jones is 5'11", 207 pounds. So essentially is the same exact body build. And we saw back in 2018 that Kareem Hunt, 2017 too, when he led the league in rushing, 2017 and 2018, Kareem Hunt was the perfect running back for the Andy Reid offense. Yeah. Perfect.
Made the first guy miss every time.
Which is why we always wanted him. He was hard as hell to tackle. He was a yards muncher. He would always get these frustratingly, I can imagine being the opposite side of things, just a frustratingly great player at finding space, big-bodied, able to, like you said, make the
Sneaky
first
fast.
tackle miss. All these things. I see that in Ronald Jones. I'm not saying he's Kareem Hunt yet. Because Kareem Hunt's,
They are
I think,
similar.
right as it stands, Kareem Hunt is the better running back. But even Kareem Hunt had to take a back seat to Nick Chubb over the last 2 years with the Browns. So I think there's advantages here that Ronald Jones has that even Kareem Hunt doesn't have with the Browns. I think he's got an opportunity here to become running back one and be that premier piece that the Chiefs have been missing out of the backfield for the last 3 years. And we all know that how great Kareem Hunt was and how valuable he was over the first 2 years with the Chiefs. Imagine that here in Kansas City once again, especially as more important as it is with Tyreek Hill now out of the equation. You have that type of back again. Like, imagine having Kareem Hunt back then without Tyreek Hill now. Like, it would be such a relief to have that. Well, there is an opportunity here. Maybe Ronald Jones isn't that guy. Again, the Chiefs only got him on a 1-year deal, so it's a very proven deal. But guys, we all love these deals. Do we not love the fact that Juju and Marquez, he got a multi-year deal, but we all know that they can get out of that fairly quickly. Ronald Jones, 1-year deal. Like, all these 1-year deals keep these guys on their toes to perform at their best. And if you can't do it in Kansas City, it's going to be really hard for people to believe you're going to do it anywhere else. So I'm signing off on this one. I really like this one. I hope I love this one. I'm willing to give him a chance. I'm keeping my expectations moderate. But, man, I really hope this pans out to become that Kareem Hunt second act. Because if he becomes that at 24 years old, maybe the Chiefs want to keep him around for a couple more years.
I love this signing. I'm a fan of Rojo. He has the only thing that's giving me pause is the fumbling problem, because I've watched a lot of his game. I watched a lot of Bucs games, and I watched for fantasy purposes too, because I'm an avid fantasy player, so I'm always keeping an eye on these guys and what they do and everything. So he has had some fumbling issues, which is why he kind of lost his job to Leonard Fournette. Granted, Leonard Fournette had a great year last year, and he might still be the better player at this moment in time. But Rojo has a lot of promise still. I know he's a younger guy still. And what I love about this signing, what I love about these kinds of signing in particular, is guys that are coming from other teams that were either demoted or lost their number one duties. Like Juju. Juju was the number one receiver there for a couple of years there in Pittsburgh, and then they signed
Chase
Claypool and Deontay Johnson. So and who is the number one there? So he got demoted by two different guys. So Juju's got a massive chip on his shoulder, has a big year to prove contract year. We just signed another running back on a 1-year deal, kind of a prove it deal, to go out there and bang it out. A guy that got demoted and lost his starting role to Leonard Fournette, right? And granted, they went and won a Super Bowl, so he's probably fine with that. But he also has a chip on his shoulder. He's coming into an offense he knows he can thrive in. He is the perfect size. What I love about him is I love about his prototypical type of running back, which is he is the opposite of what Clyde is. Clyde's the more kind of a not as he's elusive, but he's the smaller guy, more of a scat back kind of pass catcher. But Ronald Jones can also catch passes, like you said, similar to Kareem Hunt. But he's also a really strong yards after contact guy. And he has a great burst ability. If he finds that gap and he hits it, that dude is going. He had a 90. I remember in 2020 he had a 98-yard run. It was incredible, dude. It was Nick Chubb-esque. He was gone. 98-yard touchdown run. So he has that burst ability to where he can, if he sees that opening gap, he will hit it, and he'll hit it hard. And he's fast in the open field, and he's big and bulky and strong. So that's definitely what we've been missing. He's an upgrade from Darrell Williams, if you ask me. He can catch the ball like Darrell Williams could. Darrell Williams obviously showed last year that he's a very good pass catcher. Evolved into that. But Ronald Jones is going to be a guy that's going to be ready to go game one. I really, really believe that. And with our run blocking prowess that we have up front now, I wouldn't be surprised if we run the ball a little bit more this year than we normally have. Not saying that we're not going to be a pass-first offense, because that's Patrick Mahomes. We're absolutely going to be that. But I can see him catching, 30 balls. I can see him catching 30 balls, for, a couple touchdowns, and then running the ball for, maybe 750, and being that great, thunder to lightning, lightning to thunder with Clyde. I think he's a great acquisition, especially after we let Darrell walk. I think he's a great guy to bring in and be that second backup piece to Clyde. Who knows? He can win the job. Yeah. That could definitely happen.
Man, I love the signing. And we gotta look at what Rojo has done with the Bucs. And the past 2 seasons, if I'm not mistaken, he's had over 1,000 yards each season from scrimmage.
Hit back-to-back 1,000 before last season.
Before last season, yeah. So
2020 was his best year.
Yeah.
You can't overlook that. So this is what the Chiefs need. They need somebody who can compete with Clyde, who can put that competition with Clyde, saying, "Hey, Clyde, if you don't perform, we have this other player who's willing and ready to perform to the level that you're not performing for us right now. So that added competition to Clyde, I hope it elevates both these running backs to what we expect them to see. And now with Tyreek Hill gone, I really think this offense can change to where we can explode Clyde to what his to what he does to where the passing game. We can actually finally utilize him in the passing game because we can't. We can rely on the receivers, but we also can rely on the passing game for the running backs. So the options are going to be a lot more for this offense, and I'm liking every second of it. And I think both him and Clyde are really good at receiving. I think I don't know if they're hand to hand, but they're really good with receiving from the back. So him adding that power running back that we need, obviously for those early long downs, it's what this team needed, or the end zone where we're close to like let's say the 5-yard line.
Third and ones.
Yeah, the 3rd and 1s. We need that big running back that can get eat those yards. Just pushing and pushing that offense back. So this is a great addition for the Chiefs, and I'm liking the way this team is going.
Well, and I'm looking at numbers now. And even over the last 3 years, Ronald Jones obviously missed a lot, didn't play as much last season with only 428 yards. Yeah. But he actually has outperformed Kareem Hunt over the last 3 years. Now, again, Kareem Hunt's been behind Nick Chubb. Yeah. I get that. But when you know that you are for sure going to get touches like Kareem Hunt does, and we didn't know that Ronald Jones was over this last couple of years, in particular this last year, for him to still have 3 more touchdowns over the last 3 seasons than Kareem Hunt, that does tell me something. Now,
he's got big play upside, which I like.
Full disclosure here. Yeah. If I had to choose between Kareem Hunt and Ronald Jones, I'm taking Kareem Hunt because I know what he can be in this offense, and I think he's just the better back. But I think that there can be when given the opportunity in this particular offense, I think Ronald Jones could show similar skill sets. Because, again, body type, they're the same dude, and they can get utilized the same exact way.
Great burst.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So I know that there's a lot of people, when I put that out there today about Ronald Jones and Kareem Hunt and how I try to, draw comparisons, people are, well, what are you talking about? There's no comparisons. I actually think there will be. Yeah. I'm not saying he's going to put up 14, 15 touchdowns by the bye week this year. No, I don't believe that.
We've been missing that big burst plays from the running backs. Yeah, guys that run over guys.
We haven't had a back like this with the skill set and size since Kareem Hunt. So I think he could become what we have been missing.
And we're getting him at the perfect time. Like I said, he's got a chip on his shoulder. He's going from one championship caliber team to another.
And he's going to play with the best quarterback he's ever played with. So really excited about that. The Bradbury signing, if that does end up happening, I'll be very happy.
I'd rather have Gilmore, but I like that.
Yes, this is what I'm talking about. We know the positions that Veach wants to pay big money on. Yeah. We also know the ones he doesn't. And when I heard people talking about, the Chiefs should go get J.C. Jackson, I didn't mean to laugh at people, but I'm like, guys, that is laughable because the Chiefs aren't going to spend that kind of money on a cornerback. You're never going to see that unless Jalen Ramsey comes about, and we saw the Chiefs are willing to trade up first-round capital to get Jalen Ramsey because he's a unicorn. If you got an opportunity to go get Jalen Ramsey, who's going to go down as one of the 5 to 10 best corners to ever live, then yes, you go and try to get him.
I'm not overpaying for corners, though.
J.C. Jackson, he's not that guy. He's really good, really, really good. But I'm not spending $70, $80 million on it. Are you kidding me?
We've seen what Veach can get out of unknown name corners. Look at Travaris Ward, just got freaking paid.
Rashad
undrafted.
Rashad Fenton. You know what I'm talking about? Guys that you just don't know who
Did we even know who Snead was before he got drafted? I didn't know who he was.
L'Jarius Snead was a flyer pick, man. A 4th-round pick late in the draft.
That is kudos to Spags, too, knowing how to utilize and getting. But that all starts up front, we guess.
But I'm saying, you're not going to see this team overvalue the corner position.
No, as you
should. They'll go and get veteran guys on a minimum, like a Rashad Brilliant, 1-year, $4 million deal, things like that. You'll see those kind of signings. You won't see them go and give 3 to 5 year deals worth $85 to $100 million to a corner. It's just not going to happen. Yeah. They build their defenses differently, and I respect it. But Veach, if you're going to spend money on the defensive line, front 7, you got to hit them.
Is Arden Key still in town?
I don't know if he's in town, but I know
he was in town yesterday, I believe. He was here for a visit. So Arden Key, the pass rusher from.
Now, Arden Key would be a good rotational piece.
I would like it.
I was talking to somebody that follows the Niners really well this week. They said that he lacks. he doesn't really have a drive to be in the weight room a lot. According to what I don't pay attention to the
Personal
Niners.
motivation.
Yes, he struggles with that. That's why the Raiders got rid of him. Believe it or not, they didn't like the fact that he didn't take it as seriously in the weight room.
Yeah.
And
If
we all know in
you don't love
today's
football, get out of here.
yeah, today's athletes, man, you got to be in the weight room.
Yeah.
This isn't the 1970s where you can go out and have a Marlboro Red and a Scotch and then come back and play
Would you say
football.
that's key?
Yeah, booyah. You know what I'm saying? Booyah. Little golf clap on that bitch. You know what I'm saying? No.
That's Lance's job.
I would like, yes, this is Trevor's day. You know, he's feeling good. He's got a sheep, the wool jacket going on, everything. He's feeling good about himself. I think that Key would be a nice rotational acquisition. I still think he'd be a guy though that I would put in there with the Derek Notties and guys like that. Third down, see what he can do. I was watching film on him. I do like what I see when it comes.
Man.
Yes,
Yeah.
he's relentless.
Yeah.
He didn't make a ton of plays, but I was watching in particular a film of him against Joe Burrow, who's a statue in the pocket, albeit, but he pressured him about 3 or 4 times in about this 8-9 minute video I was watching.
Yeah.
So that's good to see.
He's
Positive
still young.
more than negative. I would like to see that guy there, but I think overall the Chiefs have a lot more work to do at the defensive line. I think it starts, like I said, with making a big splash, which is ironic because we heard about a month and a half ago James Palmer, Tom Pelissero, guys like that talking about expect the Chiefs to make a big splash in defensive line.
Yeah.
Whenever you're all ready.
Haven't done
You
a
got
drip
the
of water
cap.
yet. Yeah.
You got the cap space. You got a fuck ton of picks. Make it happen.
It could come during draft
Look,
time.
I'm giving you guys, I hope Brett Veach is watching this. I do know the Chiefs pay attention to our show, so I'm going to say this now. Look, you guys, you got me signed on now, okay? I was totally against it. I was calling your asses out for trading Tyreek Hill. Now that I know the full story, I understand. Do not let me down on this. You guys just traded away a foundational, cornerstone, all-time great player. Make sure that you capitalize on these picks. Whether you have to trade out on some of these, you still got a ton. Go get Josh Allen out of Jacksonville. Go and make it happen. Make shit happen and crush ass in this draft. That's literally all I'm asking, just to do your job. You guys have already put the pieces in place. You had a really good draft last year. You had a pretty decent one in 2020, or 2019 rather. Decent, not great. 2020 was amazing. By far your best. 2021, I'm saying. 2021, my bad. 2020 was decent. 2021 was amazing. Let's see 2022 kick some ass, be better than anything you guys have ever done, and build this team into a winning team for the next 5 to 10 years. That's all I'm asking. I don't think that's very difficult. Maybe it is. Maybe it's not. I don't know. But that's where we stand currently on some of the current draft, or I'm sorry, the current state of the Chiefs. I know we're going to get a ton of news, and as tradition holds, we usually get news right at the very end of the show, so I can't wait to hear that the Chiefs signed Bradbury with 30 seconds remaining on the Spoken Podcast, episode 160. But that's how it goes around here. Eddie, what is in the Eddie Hour this week? Have you got time for me, my man?
All right. So I got first question. Obviously, we talked about Conor McGregor calling out Usman. Was it Usman?
Yeah.
Yeah, Usman last week. Well, there's a fighter that just joined the list who's called out Conor McGregor, and that is Henry Cejudo. And I wanna get your thoughts on that. And let's say that was a potential bout. Who do you see winning? What do you see?
If McGregor fought Cejudo,
Yeah.
I'd take Cejudo. Look, I don't mean to shit on McGregor here. I know that he can still win fights. But you guys realize the last fight Conor McGregor won in the UFC was against Donald Cerrone. A guy that will take any fight at any given time who's become a punching bag. Donald Cerrone was really good back in the day, like 8 years ago. He's been out of his prime for the longest time. In his prime, he wasn't a great fighter. He was good. So I'm giving him a little too much praise for saying he's great. He wasn't. He was a good fighter. He's entertaining as hell. But we all know what he's there for. We all know the assignment. He's there to fight a guy that's supposed to beat his ass and he's going to make a paycheck. He beat the shit out of Donald Cerrone with his fucking shoulder. That should tell you where Donald Cerrone was at. That's the last fight McGregor won. That was, 2 years ago? Like, McGregor, it's not there anymore, man. I hope I'm wrong, but I don't think it is. I would take Cejudo in a heartbeat. And I bet the only reason McGregor would be the favorite is because he's the name. But Cejudo and Usman and all these other guys, fighting is what they got. They focus on that all year round. That's what they have. That's their brand. McGregor is a celebrity, a damn near mogul at this point. When was the last time you guys saw a UFC fighter take over the world like he has? Where he is one of the most recognizable figures in all of sports. That has never happened. Not even Chuck Liddell or Tito Ortiz
He's the most marketable
reached this
fighter
level.
in
Yes.
UFC history, for sure.
And not even close.
Yep.
So When people were trying to make the comparisons between him and Bones Jones and why, McGregor's making all this money, what did I say? It's because of his marketability. The man knows how to sell a fight. Bones Jones doesn't.
Yeah, you got to fight Mayweather.
When Bones Jones and Cormier were doing their little beefs, they were so awkward.
Yeah.
They were weird.
That's what's trash.
They were weird. I think at one point Bones Jones was trying to say, "I'll eat you," like weird shit. Like it wasn't even like it was like, what the fuck? You don't have Mark. Now Bones Jones is significantly better than McGregor. Significantly.
Fun guys.
I know, right? That's what I'm saying. Like there was a lot of Mike Tyson wasn't really good at that either. That's why Mike Tyson was always the silent type. He didn't know how to talk. It was very weird. He was a weird dude when it comes to stuff like that. That's what I'm saying. McGregor has that ability. McGregor, Chael Sonnen could have been one of those guys, but he just didn't have the talent.
Chael was a great shit talker.
He was a great shit talker. You couldn't market him like a champ because he never really was that guy.
Yeah.
McGregor is. That's why people still want to see him. And I speak for myself. Whenever McGregor's in a card, I can't miss it because I want to see what happens. Because he has chances for greatness, but he's no longer the guy that we saw 4, 5, 6 years ago when he was fighting Jose Aldo and knocking him out in 16 seconds. Because Jose Aldo was a god amongst men. And then he did that, and you're thinking, holy shit, what can't he do? Well, he went out and made hundreds of millions of dollars, and he lost the lust for competition. I don't blame him. It's just like the Tyreek Hill thing. You don't want to win Super Bowls or contend for them. You want to go make money. Great, go do that. But you're not going to be the same guy anymore. That's how it goes. So in the longest way imaginable, Eddie, give me Cejudo, give me Usman, give me the guy down the street that's been practicing for 10 years. I'm taking him.
It's McGregor all day, baby.
Oh, flip.
It's Conor all day, baby. You already know, man. Yeah, you already know I'm gonna go on my guy's side. So I'm taking Conor all day if that shit goes down. I'll put money on it, $50. Let's
do it.
Let's go. It's
I'll
Conor.
shake on
It's
that.
Conor all day.
Conor all day, huh?
Yep.
Like it. All right, let's go Major League Baseball. Obviously, spring baseball is happening. Spring training, whatever the fuck they call it.
Rumspringer? Yeah.
Is Bobby Witt Jr. ready for the majors?
100% yes.
Absolutely. He's a stud.
Trevor talked about the transcendental wide or quarterbacks that come around once every couple decades. Guys, Bobby Witt is that guy in baseball. I really hope everybody understands this. I would talk about him the same way if he was playing for the fucking Marlins. Like, I don't care where he plays. He is special. And the Kansas City Royals finally got that guy. It's been since George Brett that they've had that guy. And even George Brett, here's the funny thing people forget. Before George Brett became the great player he now is, or once was, he had to get sent back to AAA. And then he came back and started tearing the cover off the ball and became a legendary baseball player. Bobby Witt, I don't even think that's going to have to happen to him. I think he's going to go to the majors at some point this season and tear the cover off the ball and make astounding defensive plays. And we're all going to be sitting here going, okay, how are the Royals going to afford to keep this guy? Because in 3 or 4 years, he's going to be eligible for a max contract that people aren't going to believe can be paid by a Royals franchise. Now, we've seen the Royals spend some money. We've seen what they've been doing of recent times. They just went and gave Greinke a contract that's worth up to $15 million for 1 year, and I love that signing. But Witt is a guy that you don't just sign for the feelings. You sign for what he's about to do. Dude's in his early 20s, going to have the ability to change baseball here in Kansas City. I think it's perfect because they're eventually going to get that downtown ballpark. And at that point, Witt could be just getting into his prime because we know baseball players, positional players especially, once they hit 29, 30 years old, you can start seeing their best seasons. So Witt stays healthy. I think you can see the net, and I hate putting that pressure on him because Alex Gordon crumbled under that pressure. He could be that next George Brett, man. And I think he's got more talent than even George Brett did. I know that sounds blasphemous, man, but just wait. I'm telling you, this dude is special. Every single baseball person I know that has watched and covered the league for years and years and years, I've asked them the same question. Does this guy have that transcendental ability and talent? They all look at me like I'm stupid for even asking the question, because of course he does. Be ready, Royals fans, because this team might not be great for the next year, but you know what is going to be great is Bobby Witt, and it's going to be great to watch him be great. So I'm all for it.
Yeah, the kid's got it. I mean, you watch him play. He's good at everything he does in the game. You know, so without question, I think this kid is got every opportunity to be arguably the best talent the Royals franchise has ever had. He has all the capabilities, barring health. So absolutely, I think this kid is the future for this franchise if they allow him to be. If he, like you said, we've let a lot of talent walk out of this franchise right at the worst time when they took that next step to become who they really, really were and how they impacted the game. So I think this is a guy you want to keep in town for the long haul and keep him here as long as you possibly can, because I think he's going to do a lot of great things, not only just for the MLB but for the Royals themselves. And I do agree with you, Lance. I think he has every chance to be a statue player for this franchise. So, yeah, I'm right there with lock and step with Lance on that statement. So,
You brought up the downtown stadium. Obviously, earlier this week, I showed some pictures to Lance, I believe, and I don't know if I sent it on the message group, but
yeah,
about that possible downtown stadium for the Royals. I want to get your thoughts on that. What do you think of the future for the Royals if they actually move to downtown?
I'm from Kansas City. I've lived here my entire life, and I know the mindset of the people that live here. We are very conservative by nature. We don't like change. We like things to stay the exact same because it makes sense for us in this time. But what we don't understand is that with change oftentimes comes better opportunity and better things in general. That's what this is. Okay, look at it from a football standpoint. Before the Chiefs traded up 17 spots to get Patrick Mahomes, that was something that not only was unforeseen, but damn near blasphemous in Kansas City. Just get the best player available. Go get a linebacker. Go get an offensive lineman. Build around Alex Smith. Yeah. Go give Steve DeBerg more talent. Like, that was always the mindset. Just play it safe. Just be safe. Just be good enough because we don't want to suck. And then you make risks. And then what happens? History changes. Actually, history doesn't change. You just finally start getting history. Then you start actually being fucking relevant again, or for the first time. So when it comes to this situation, the Royals have been irrelevant since 2016. And they were irrelevant before 2014 for about 30 years. You know why that is? Because they played it safe and they just, we're a small market team. We can't compete with the big markets. Fuck that. Go make yourself relevant. You know how you do that? The biggest step by doing that is getting a downtown ballpark. It's the most common sense thing ever. Almost every single team in the major leagues has a downtown ballpark. You know why? Because the people that live in the city, the most congested area of your states, will go to games and will attend things and events. You'll get the sponsorships and endorsements from the local brands and local companies. It generates revenue. And revenue is what brings what? Fans, players, opportunities, relevance. There is no negatives in this. I understand in this city, a small town or a big town with a small town mindset, it's going to be massive change. It's going to be inconvenient. It's going to be weird because you remember your grandpa taking you to games. I mean, even John Sherman, the owner of the Royals, excuse me, John Sherman himself said in his latest press release that his first date with his wife was at Kauffman Stadium. That place means a lot to him. Been married to his wife for like 40-something years. So, of course, it means something to him, just like it means something to all of us. We all have memories there. Mm-hmm. A lot of memories, great memories. But are we not willing to see something great happen in Kansas City and give that up? Have the memories still, but to know that with that comes something even greater. To be able to show our kids, grandkids, people that we care about that are coming about, that are younger now, but we'll be able to have that, a new, brand new thing for the next generations. I'm all for it, man. I think it's only going to elevate Kansas City as a whole. So for that, I'm on board. I'm progressive. Maybe I'm just weird like that, but I think it's only a great thing. I can't find the negatives.
It's the best idea for a growing city, which is Kansas City. Kansas City continues to grow, and not only its population, but its popularity. It's becoming, with the addition of Patrick Mahomes, a lot more attention is on the Chiefs and the sporting programs over here now. Bobby Witt becomes who we think he can be. That's that much more attention. And I think a downtown stadium is a great rebrand for the city. This is comparing apples to oranges, but like when I grew up in Wyandotte County pretty much my whole life, and when they brought the Legend Shopping Center down here, that was a big thing for us because we always had to go to other malls. We had to go to Johnson County, Oak Park, or Indian Springs. Yeah. So we'd have to kind of go out of our way a lot of times to go to like a legitimate mall that we liked and enjoyed the experience. So when the Legends made its way out here with the movie theater and everything, that was a huge thing for us.
Changed the game.
We're out there every weekend, man. Every time, every weekend when that place first got out here. So, and I still, I'm out there frequently. So that was a big contribution, a big pull for this part of town. That was big for us. We needed that. And it helped. It helped revenue. Helped this part of town. Helped everything. So that is that and that much more. We're talking about a stadium and a downtown stadium, especially for baseball. downtown stadiums are like. It's just a part of the culture at this point. Like you look at some of the best stadiums, a lot of them are right smack dab in the middle of the downtown. With Wrigley and in Boston with the Red Sox Stadium and all that. Like that's just a cool part, and that's such a that will immediately become like one of those venues, not only just for baseball games, but for all other kinds of events. So I think that'd be a great idea. Traffic will probably be awful for the first couple of years. I'm sure they have a lot of figuring out if they can develop some kind of, because it is tight down there as it is. But if they make room with this new addition to the airport, with making transportation a little, if we can get this rail system a little bit more efficient. I think it's a great idea. I think it's a great rebrand for the city. Like I said, a growing city, and I'm all for rebranding and touching things up and being progressive with things. So it's a fresh new look. I think it'd be a fresh new look for a lot of the younger generation moving forward. So I think it's a great idea, man.
All right, yeah, I can't wait for a downtown stadium.
It's gonna be great, man.
And then you also have the professional women's soccer also trying to build that downtown
complex.
WSL, yep.
So
huge.
you potentially have the chance to have 2 downtown stadiums, and then obviously you're adding to what's already there, which is T-Mobile Center. That's going to intrigue the NBA,
it's a major venue,
and possibly hockey to moving a market to have a market out here with a professional team with the NBA or hockey.
Yeah,
because obviously.
The Negro League baseball museum down there too. Everything would kind of be like right. That's a good idea, man.
Yeah. So I can't. Yeah. Royals should take that opportunity if they have it. So
absolutely.
Next question is I want to talk Kyrie Irving because he is finally going to be allowed to play home games, just leading up to the playoffs. How does this help the Nets during the playoffs?
I mean, just from that statement alone, it helps them. Kyrie Irving is borderline elite player in this league. One of the greatest finishers ever at guard, at getting to the bucket and finishing. Maybe the best handle we've ever seen, or at least since Allen Iverson. Still in the prime of his career. Weird as fuck, but great basketball player. And so naturally, the Nets are just better from that alone, just adding him to the equation. Problem though, the problem though for the Nets is they're going into the playoffs as a very, very low seed. And that means they're going to have to go on the road to no matter where they go. And as our guy Nick Wright has been saying, I mean, you're talking about having to go on the road without home court advantage against the Sixers, the Bucks, the Bulls, teams like that. And I don't believe they would win those series. Maybe the Bulls, I would probably pick the Nets to scrape by in that series because Kevin Durant could just, I think, take that team to task. And I don't think they would do enough because they don't have enough playoff experience outside of DeMar DeRozan.
They don't have anyone that can guard him.
Exactly. I think Kevin Durant could just single-handedly take over that series and just win the series. And then you sprinkle in Kyrie Irving, game over. Yeah. I would pick them. But if they had to go travel to the Bucks, who I think are the best team in basketball and I think are going to probably win the title again, I would pick them. I would pick the Bucks to win that series and win it in less than 7 games. Because of the fact that, again, you don't have the chemistry in place. The Nets have zero depth. Zero. They have no depth whatsoever. Their shooting is all banged up. Outside of Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving just going out and having Kobe, Shaq, LeBron, Kyrie types of runs, this team isn't even getting past the second round. And I think if this would have happened earlier in the year, I think that they would be in much better position. I could say this team can get to the finals. But I just don't think there's enough there right now for them. And I think that just being a low seed, it's going to be very, very difficult for them to do so. And I will defend Kyrie in this. The mandate thing, which I have been in full support of because I want to see people be healthy and survive bullshit like this pandemic, made no sense. It made no sense. Yeah. You know why it didn't make any sense? And I know this sounds weird coming from me. Kyrie Irving, just a few weeks ago, was allowed to sit courtside at Barclays without a mask. And that was 100% okay. But he couldn't play home games.
It's like the restaurant thing.
What in the literal fuck? Yeah, you have to wear a mask going into a restaurant, but you go and sit down, you can take it off.
Yeah, it's just like... Yeah.
It makes no sense what they did to Kyrie Irving. And I've been somebody who's been calling him out for his stances on things.
He said some strange things, but yeah.
And he's a strange dude. Yeah. But that doesn't make him wrong in some of these things. Mm-hmm. And I think that this actually made him look better.
Lacks logic.
Because it didn't make any sense what New York does. And now how convenient, Eddie, that they lift this right before the playoffs. Yeah. Woo!
Right
how convenient.
Yeah,
right before baseball season when the Yanks and Mets are going and the Mets look really promising. How
Well,
convenient.
there's a lot of baseball players bitching about it too.
Wow. That's strange.
Yeah, needs
So-
baseball in New York.
The mandates just look like a joke now, and I can't even defend it. And I don't even go down a rabbit hole of that. I'm just saying that Kyrie's biggest stance in all of this was going against it, and it looked very foundational at the time. Now, they made an ass of themselves with these mandates, and Kyrie gets the last laugh, and he deserves every bit of it. I saw his press conference last week when all this went down, and he sat there and he was like, I don't want any superlatives. I don't want any hyperbolic questions. I just want you guys to get down to brass tack. Because he knows. He won. So the Nets, in retrospect, they're better, but I still don't think they're a team that are going to get to the finals. No.
They're absolutely better. I mean, we've seen Kyrie this past month and a half drop a couple 50 burgers and then a 60 burger. So you're getting a guy get back like that who is absolutely 100%.
Who sacked the last 8 minutes of that game, by the way.
An elite scorer in this league. Yeah, I mean, Kyrie's been on a roll, and he's got a massive chip on his shoulder. This coming back and with everything coming back to normal. And I mean, I think they're absolutely a threat in the East, regardless of seed. I think with Ben Simmons coming into his own and becoming who we know he is defensively, I think that can definitely change some things once he kind of figures out who he is in this team. I think they could beat anybody in the East. I just think that the talent is just overwhelming with the offensive talent between him and Kyrie, or him and KD, and then the defensive help with Ben Simmons. I think is huge. So they still are not a good defensive team, though. They're really not. I know they've had some games where they've been, but I mean, you got to look at the Miami Heat. They've been bouncing up between the 1 and the 2 top spots in the East too. The Miami Heat's been struggling as of late, but that's been a good team, a very good defensive team too. I think it would give them fits as well. I'm still not completely sold on the Bucks, man. I think this year, I know they've been very consistent. They've been right there with the best teams. They've been very consistent. But when it comes to postseason, we've seen them fail too many times. I know they succeeded last year. We've seen them fail a lot more than we've seen them succeed. They reached the top last year. I get that. But I think if it came down to Philly, I still think Philly's the best team in the East. I think they are. I think that's who I would pick still, because I think Embiid's just been that great. And Harden's been a little inconsistent. Obviously, we all kind of saw that coming. But when he's hot, he's extremely tough to stop. This East is a big shakeup, man. So with the Kyrie thing, I think that only bringing it back full circle here, I think Kyrie absolutely helps this Nets team be great, and I think they absolutely have a chance to win the East. And I think once playoff times comes around, I think they can beat anybody. I really do.
My last question for you guys: are the Lakers making the playoffs?
Yes. I feel confident because Anthony Davis. Hold on, let me explain my case. Anthony Davis will be back. I'm taking it from the expectations I had at the beginning of the year, and I'm dropping them away. I'm literally throwing the ball down the hill, dude. Now we're talking about, will they even just get to the playoffs? Yeah. I do expect them to, because of two factors, and they're two obvious factors, but they're factors nevertheless. AD will be back, and I think he'll give them obviously that push of adding that top 10 player to the equation. Him and LeBron already have enough chemistry to get it back going.
You say AD will be back, or he hurt his back?
Right, good call. Fuck, man, Trevor Butter, he's on a roll today.
Good job.
Well done. I might shake your hand after this one, but also the fact, and this is the most obvious factor of it all. It's LeBron James and over my dead body kind of thing. We've seen. Look at it.
Literal dead body.
The Lakers, I think, won 3 games in the last 15.
Yeah.
3-12 in the last 15 games. In all 3 of those games, LeBron had to score over 35 points. You mean to tell me right now, if it meant, because we just saw this last year, them just getting into the playoffs, they had to do the play-in game with the Warriors. LeBron went out there and dropped 38 points and won them the game with the game-winning shot over Steph Curry, right? That's the type of scenario I think I envision will happen again, where LeBron's going to go out there, drop 44 points, maybe flirt with a triple-double, squeak out a victory.
LeBron's going to do what he does.
Yes. I have full confidence that's going to happen. If AD's just 75-80% of what he is, he's 75-80% better than anything else they can throw out there. Yeah. And I just hope that Russell Westbrook just sits the entire fourth quarter so they don't even have to worry about him fucking things up, because I swear to God, if he does, I'll pay the money to make sure he gets out of LA next year. So that's what's going to happen. I think they're going to get in there. Because think about it like this, too, and I'm not trying to sound like an ultimate optimist here, but they had to play in the playing game last year and had a 2-1 lead against the Suns, who got to the finals before AD got hurt. Yeah. I'm not saying they're going to make this deep run. All I'm saying is
Shaq would echo those sentiments
if they get in, and when they get in my opinion, all of a sudden you're looking at a team outside of the Philadelphia 76ers. They're the only team out there that's 2 top 10 players in the league. Yeah. I don't give a fuck what you say, Rick Bucher. LeBron is a top 10. I can't believe I'm acknowledging it. It's stupidity. Yeah. But the point is, this team gets in the playoffs, and if they have to face the Suns, they're probably going to lose again in the first round. and that's the most likely scenario. But I'm not going to sit here and put dirt on them and say their playoff hopes are done. I'm saying they'll get in, and then we'll see what the fuck happens, which will probably be a 5-game loss in the series against the Suns.
Yeah, Shaq even said that he thinks that the Lakers make the playoffs and they play the Suns in the first series. He said he thinks that they'll beat the Suns.
And now Chris Paul, if he's still banged up, if Chris Paul can't go,
because they don't have a real answer for AD.
Yeah,
I mean, I know
he was killing Ayton before he got hurt. He was
Ayton is not a defender. Ayton is a very skilled offensive player, good traditional post player. But anyways, I think they make the playoffs. As hard as this road has been this year, if AD gets here just in time to make a run, I mean, they're not far out from it right now, right? I mean, they're sitting right at that play-in role. So I think, and LeBron has been incredible this year, man. Like, regardless of anybody says, and you can say whatever you want about their seeding and where they're at and how they've been underperforming. I mean, yeah, they're missing arguably their best player at this. I mean, I know LeBron's the best player still statistically, but AD is maybe the most important player for them to have success here because LeBron needs him, man. Like this is the point of a team. You need your Batman to your Robin to your Batman. You need those guys, and AD is an elite player when he's healthy. So you need that guy, especially defensively. Jesus, that defense has been struggling, man. So if they get there, I think like you said, Lance. Me and you've always been mind to mind, eye to eye with this. Like LeBron's in the playoffs, anything goes. Anything can happen. He got beaten in the first round for the first time ever just recently. So I think that's lingered for him, I'm sure. So if he knows he gets in there, LeBron's not going to want to get bounced in the first round twice. That's just not something he's going to want to let happen. So there's going to be a massive chip on his shoulder if they're healthy going into the postseason.
He wants to leave that for MJ's legacy.
Anything can happen, man. So I think they make it barely. I know it's been a rough year, but I think they get in there, and like once they get in there, I'm gonna be cheering my ass off for them, and anything can happen, man.
There's 8 games left in the season. They're currently sitting 10th, tied with the Pelicans at 31 wins.
Yeah, they got to be better though.
So this is the Lakers' remaining 8 games.
That's tough.
They play the Pelicans tomorrow. Then they go play the Mavericks. Then they play the Jazz. They play the Pelicans again. Then they play the Nuggets. Then they play the Suns. Then they play the Warriors. Then they play the Thunder. The last game of the season for them is against the Nuggets.
A lot of tough teams. But here's the
also
thing.
a lot of teams that are kind of coasting into the postseason.
Thank you.
Yep.
The Nuggets for sure, because they can't move up or down right now as it currently stands, unless they go like on a 10-game losing streak.
Up for the Warriors.
Yes, the Warriors are terrible right now. Yeah. They've been terrible. Yeah, honestly, I told you guys, if the Lakers were to face Steph Curry at his best with the Warriors, I would pick the Lakers. They match up with that team good.
Especially if AD's healthy.
Yes.
If AD's healthy, they have no answer.
So the Nuggets, Trevor, you literally took the words out of my mouth. Yeah. Nuggets are going to be coasting, right? The Suns, they're going to try to stay as healthy as possible right now because they're going to shore up the 1 seed. Yeah. So
Mavericks are in the 4th, 5th seed area.
Yeah, they're going to stay right in that area. Mm-hmm. So maybe the Mavericks will still play tough. I'm sure because Doncic is such a competitor.
But Doncic has been banged up lately too. He's kind of banged up right now too. He missed he played last game, but he's missed the 2 before that. So.
Right. So I'm just saying, like, I know it looks like a rough fucking stretch, and it probably still will be. But it wouldn't shock me if the Lakers go 5-5. It wouldn't shock me if they go 6-4, 5-5.
Like you just said, they're right there with the Pelicans.
8 games.
I'm sorry, 8 last 10. I'm sorry.
You just said too that those Pelican games might be the toughest ones left on the schedule because the Pelicans are trying to get in there too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's the team that has probably the most fight, and Pelicans beat their
ass last time. Goddamn Thunder. I don't know what it is, man, but they play so well against the Lakers. I know everybody does.
Fast, energetic guys.
Match so well. Yeah,
they do, man.
Gilgeous Alexander's a fucking baller.
Yeah, they got nothing to lose.
Hey, you fucking Lakers better leave him alone. Lakers better not go and like, hey, okay, see, I'll give you 3 rounds. First
that kid's
round.
a stud, man.
Fuck you guys.
The Lakers gonna make some moves this offseason for sure.
That's our guy. Fuck you guys.
Yeah, you guys don't have guys. They always go somewhere else.
And the playing game right now, it's looking so in the 8th seed is the Clippers. And the 9th seed is the Pelicans. So right now that's the play-in game. But if the Lakers somehow make it to the 9th seed, because they are 5 games behind the Clippers. Yeah. So it'll be Clippers-Lakers if anything happens. So that's gonna be a one hell of a game.
Hell yeah,
Clippers-Lakers.
Yeah. Do we have any comments on the chat at all, or are they leaving us alone today?
Shaggy Shane said, "I grew up with the K 4 miles from my house. It's a short drive."
Short drive
He put the little music
countryside. Yeah, I know that. I can hear Shane singing it right now.
It's in my head.
I'll just read you a few more.
Okay.
everybody had figured out how to guard Tyreek in the Chiefs offense. The trade made sense. 28 years old and will start declining very soon. He clearly doesn't care about winning, just wants the bag now. It says, this one. This is a good question. How about Tyreek's pressers when he said that Tua is the most accurate passer in the NFL?
Look, I'll say something to that. I know that was good. I was surprised, honestly, that wasn't in your Eddie hour because I was ready for that one. What is Tyreek supposed to say in that moment? Yeah, I came here for the money, and holy fucking shit, my quarterback sucks. Like, what's he supposed to say? Like, you really think in his heart of hearts he believes that? No, like
it's like when Jamal went to the Broncos.
Yeah,
when
like
Jamal Charles went to the Broncos.
Yeah, what would you take? What amount of money would you bet that Tua next season in 2023 is not the starting quarterback for the Dolphins? I mean, hell, we even heard fucking Tom Brady trying to pencil in a trade to go to the Dolphins. So
they're giving him everything he needs. I mean, he's got a good defense. Now he's got maybe the fastest offense in the league.
I think that's just team speak. That's him supporting his teammate because he has to. Because otherwise, it's just going to build controversy, and there's no reason for that. Tyreek knows the game because he's been in the spotlight for 4 or 5 years now. He knows how to handle the press. That's what you do, is you sit there and back your quarterback even if you know he sucks ass. So, I mean, I'm a left-handed thrower. I might throw the ball a little better than Tua at this point, guys, and I'm a 34-year-old lefty that doesn't play sports anymore. So that's what Tyreek's doing. I don't know if you have anything to add to that, but that's where I stand on it.
I'm with you on that.
Says, so this is when we were talking about Brown Jr. Reed and Mahomes made Hill. I go with Brown over Hill.
Reed and Mahomes made... okay. I don't want to be the guy that disrespects a player, though, because Tyreek Hill has been a work machine. That dude has got a work ethic that is unreal. You guys should go watch. I know Trevor does. His off-season footage, what he does, I don't think I've ever seen another wide receiver, let alone like player at all, work out the way this dude. It's absurd.
He's a freak, man.
He works his ass off. He's earned everything he's ever gotten, including this contract and all his numbers he's put up. Has it been easier putting those numbers up with Tyreek Hill or with Patrick Mahomes in Andy Reid's system? Yes. But are we going to sit here and take away from guys that have advantages? No. That's not how we do things. If we're going to start doing that, you got to start taking chips off of Tom Brady for having Bill Belichick all those years and having all these weapons in Tampa Bay. Start taking that stuff away then. Like, where do you draw the line? I'm not doing that to Tyreek Hill. I think Tyreek Hill has earned everything he's gotten because of what he does, and I've seen him do it with average quarterback play in Alex Smith. He put up 1,200 yards in 2017 with Alex Smith. Spare me on the whole, they made him. No, they didn't. Tyreek Hill made him who he is because he put the work in.
But
he put the work in.
He is who he is.
He put the work in.
Yeah.
Sure. That's it. That's
all right.
That's all we got.
All right, we have one more order of business to get to. I hope you guys are ready for it because I know I love it every single time we do it. Guys, what's it called? Hold this L. Each and every week, we finish off each and every episode with a series of L's in the world of sports. Whether they're nice, friendly, or not so nice and friendly L's in the world of sports, whoever's holding those L's deserve them L's. Mr. Eddie Ortiz, Mr. Yo, who's held the L for you this week, and is it F1?
It's not F1, though. It is. It's currently on, but no, not F1. The biggest disappointment of the year, Italy.
Oh, my God.
Man.
Italy losing
Oh, my God.
Italy losing to North Macedonia or something like that. I don't even know what the...
You said you didn't even know the country existed. We were talking about it.
If you ask me right now to put my finger where I think Macedonia is, I couldn't tell you.
Eddie only knows it from scripture, from the Bible. Macedonia being the place where Saul became Paul or some shit.
I don't know the Bible. So I honestly don't.
Eddie's letting us know he's a Buddhist.
I honestly don't know where it is. I mean, it's a European qualifier, so I'm assuming it's in Europe.
It's one of those, Europe places.
It's one of those white regions.
Yeah, let's just say it was a qualifier, but they had to play somebody else outside of Europe, or just a random country. I could probably went to Macedonia, maybe Africa. I don't fucking know. I don't know where this is at.
It's on the earth.
It's somewhere. Yeah, it's somewhere.
I wonder if Johnny Cash went there in the song. He's been everywhere, man. I wonder if North Macedonia is like. Is that in there?
And it's not even Macedonia. It's North Macedonia.
There you got to be specific.
What about South Macedonia?
It's the tippity of the top.
Yeah. What about South Macedonia? Like what goes on there? Like, do they play soccer? What do they do there?
South Harmon. That's where they would know.
But this is the biggest failure. Well, I mean, they missed last World Cup 4 years ago. But they are the current European champions. They just won the Euros last year.
Yeah.
They are the defending European champions and failed miserably.
You think they just slept on them, or what do you think happened?
It's not that they slept on them. They just couldn't finish. They had 30 shots and only 5 shots on goal. Out of those 30 shots, only 5 of those shots were on goal. I mean, they were either deflected or the goalie stopped.
Well, how much credit do you think you need to give Northern Macedonia, though?
All of it.
Because I feel like maybe they're better than what we expected. Like we're looking at St. Peter's right now in the tournament.
That's pretty much what North Macedonia is.
Yeah.
But
I mean, Italy, bro.
Yeah.
it's this clearly demonstrates the situation that is currently happening in Italy.
Yeah.
Their youth
downfall.
their youth teams, their youth programs, their youth soccer programs, they're failing. They're failing miserably, and it sucks. But I have to compare it with Mexico. Their youth teams are failing.
Yeah.
They're not bringing up those young players anymore that they used to. They are failing, and we've seen Mexico. They used to, I want to say, dominate the CONCACAF region, but they were a fierce competitor in the CONCACAF region. It's somebody that you were afraid to go play in Mexico. It's somebody that you were afraid for them to come play with you, against you. Those days are gone for Mexico. This is the same for Italy. They just went and won the European Championship last year.
Yeah.
And then you can't qualify by beating a team that I can guarantee you 70 to 80% of the world's population couldn't tell you where it is. It is sad. It is unfortunate. But hopefully this wakes up the Italy Soccer Federation to invest in their youth, to do everything they can to bring their youth up. Right now, their youth is non-existent in Italy. That league is made up mostly of foreign players. Hopefully, they can come up with a solution. Mexico is trying to create a solution to where they limit the amount of foreign players, and they're trying to force teams to play under 21 players a certain amount of minutes the entire season. So they're trying to create this thing for Mexican players to come up and actually be something and not just disappear. So I think Italy has to go back into the drawing board and see what they can do better for their youth system, which is where these teams are failing. And obviously years down the road, obviously you're probably not struggling right now, but years down the road when that youth is not coming up, it's not succeeding the way it should be, you're going to start struggling. You're going to start seeing players not be at the same caliber as they used to. And I think Italy's reached that point to where you've missed your second in a row, like your second World Cup in a row. There's definitely something that's happening that needs to be addressed. And I'm just in shock and disbelief that they lost. I couldn't believe it. It was just hard to even read that they lost.
Yeah.
It was unbelievable. So, if Italy doesn't do anything, god damn, it's been... So, there'll be 12 years without a World Cup before the next World Cup comes around. So, 12 years without a World Cup champion. They've won the World Cup before. To not play a World Cup.
Or to even be competitive.
To be competitive.
To lose to...
Fuck me. And you're the current European champions. How the fuck does that happen? I don't know. So, for that reason, you have to do me a favor and...
Hold this L! Trevor Twidwell, who is holding the L for you this week?
So, I don't have an L. I'm just going to... I have 2 W's I'm going to give out. Yeah. Yeah, I know.
He wants to be the funny guy all day, and then he wants to get serious.
I know.
We'll start, honoring folks and shit.
Yeah, now we're gonna fucking cry.
Yeah, now, yeah. Way to go.
No, it's
fucking
look,
sheep over
I'm
here.
going to go right off what you
Man.
said. I'm going to bring up St. Peter's, man. Listen. 15th seed that walked into this tournament and beat Kentucky, the number 2 seed, Kentucky, right off the bat. Shock. Whoa, we've seen these happen before. Then they follow that up by beating number 7 Murray State. Holy shit, this might be for real. Let's see what they can do against Purdue. Purdue's probably going to knock them off. That's probably where this train stops. Then they go in there and beat Purdue 67-64 last night. But this is one of the first 15th seed to ever go into the Elite Eight. It's one of the most incredible things I've ever seen. We've seen a lot of great runs. I'm a KU guy, and I'll get to KU in a minute. But outside of KU, I am rooting for these boys.
I think they have. I'm not sure who they go to play next.
But man, you beat Purdue and Kentucky in the 3-game span to keep yourself alive, to be the first. Put yourself, and shout out to coach too, to put this team into as the first 15 seed to go into the Elite Eight. And who knows, man? They might be destined for the Final Four or a championship. Who knows? I'm pulling for these guys. Like I said, outside of KU, who's my squad, I am pulling for. This is what makes. We were just talking about this before the show started. This is what makes March Madness arguably the best sporting event in the world, man. Just to watch the excitement, all these young men that are trying to make their future dreams come true. Or if they know that their future's not in basketball, they're seizing the moment, that is this tournament, and making a name for themselves in college basketball lore, which is a fun thing to revisit. College basketball lore is one of the funnest things to revisit. It's great. So shout out to those guys. I'm giving them a W, man. It's an unprecedented run what these guys are doing, being the first 15 seed to make the Elite Eight. It's incredible. So I'm pulling for them. And then I want to give my guys a W. The University of Kansas men's basketball, becoming the winningest franchise, winningest program in NCAA men's Division I basketball history. They just recently passed Kentucky with 2,354 wins. Incredible, man. Shout out to Coach Self, Coach Roy Williams, who's a big part of that as well, and all the history that this incredible program has done. I'm hoping we can further that by winning this next game here. I think we play. I think we're playing Miami or Iowa State, between who wins between those two teams. And those two teams are going to be a tough matchup. But I do believe, we have what it takes. This defense has been this has been a fun team. Seeing the guys, Remy Martin and guys like that really shined and become, unexpectedly. We didn't expect Remy to be the guy. He's been leading the team in points. So this is a fun team to watch, man. It's a gritty bunch. Not the most talented, like even Coach Self has said, not the most talented bunch of guys he's had. He's had a lot of extremely, he's had the Embiids and the Wiggins of the world, So yeah, all those guys. He's had a bunch of great talent. So I'm excited to see what these guys do getting into this Elite Eight part of this tournament here. But I just wanted to give them that time and give them that pedestal to stand on, being the winningest. Right here in our backyard, man, the winningest program in NCAA men's basketball Division I. It's an incredible. So I'm gonna give them a W, and I do kind of want to revisit my L from last week, if I'm being honest. I'm not giving him an L again. Look, I love Tyrann Mathieu to death, but Dirty Dan Sorensen just got signed by the Saints.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So Tyrann Mathieu, look, I don't want to keep putting more salt on this wound, but Tyrann Mathieu banged. He was. Depending on himself and his namesake and his prowess as an elite or seemingly elite player at his position, and it's not working out for him, man. I just kind of wanted to revisit that again because it's even holding more weight this week's past now that Dan Sorensen is now a Saint, because there was rumblings that the Saints were looking at Tyrann Mathieu, and I think it's probably a price issue that he's wanting money that he thinks he's worth that he's probably not at this point in his career. Something could happen during the draft. I think Ian Rappaport was talking about, a lot of times there are veterans that'll hang around the draft as someone whiffs on a safety and someone, snipes the safety that they wanted or a DB that they wanted. They might go after Tyrann, but he's still going to have to take a pay cut. Tyrann he thinks he's worth $14 million a year, and he's just not going to get that, man.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So it's not. I'm not gonna make him hold the L again this week because I don't want to do that. But I just kind of wanted to revisit that.
Yeah.
That dirty fucking Dan just got signed by the Saints before Tyrann, bro.
Yeah.
And I think that's actually
Hold this L.
I think that is a good pickup by the Saints because I think they're going to use Dirty Dan properly. What he is, a box safety. He's not a coverage guy. The Chiefs fucked him last season.
A tackling safety.
Yes, he's a good box guy. Yeah. So I think that's a good pickup for a good veteran pickup, a good playmaker at times for the Saints. Not that he's going to be mentioned much this year, but I think that it just kind of goes to show that Tyrann may be a little bit in over his head a little bit more than he thought. So just want to throw that out there. Love you, Tyrann.
I want to start my little segment here with a W as well. And this W is actually going to myself. And the reason why it's going to myself is because 1 year ago, yesterday, we had gotten the news that the Chiefs decided to, I will say it, foolishly re-sign on another 1-year deal, wide receiver Demarcus Robinson. And that was my birthday. And I remember sitting there in a parking lot waiting for my girlfriend, and I got the news. And about 12 texts from friends just laughing at me. Like, hey, happy birthday, bro. D-Rob's back. And I'm thinking, the Chiefs hate me. They don't let me. I'm not allowed to like them on Facebook.
That day.
I don't know why, but their Facebook page doesn't let me like them. I can only share their stuff. I can't comment, like. It's probably because I tag them and stuff, and I have unpopular opinions at times. Regardless, I know you guys are paying attention. I hated that. I hated that very much, and it just about ruined my birthday. Well, 2 days before my birthday this year, I get the news that Demarcus Robinson not only left the Chiefs, but signed with the Raiders. And that made me really happy. People are like, why the hell would you want him to go to the Raiders? Because he's their problem now. He can moonwalk for them with the ball. He can go out there and ruin plays and celebrate like he actually had anything to do with big games and big plays with them now.
I hope he's their punt returner.
I love this so much that not only did he leave my team finally, but he's with the Raiders now. That makes so much sense, and it makes me so happy. So from 1 year to the next, I'm patting myself on the back because this is birthday redemption for me. So thank you, guys. Thank you, Raiders. Thank you, Chiefs, for finally moving on and doing what you did. I also love the fact that the Chiefs, for the first time since 2014, won't be having Dirty Dan on the team. Because I understand that people say, well, he does play well in certain theories and stuff. He's not a good football player anymore. He never really was all that much. He was a lovable character, one of those guys that have been around for the thick and thin. I appreciate that. But I'm so fucking happy that he is not going to be on this team moving forward because he was just dead weight at this point, and I couldn't be happier about that. So thank you, Chiefs, for making up to me what you guys have been doing to me for fucking forever when it comes to these two guys. My L is one I can't believe hasn't been brought up yet on this show because this is a guy that even more than I do gets dragged on Twitter because he's somebody that steals content. He's on here that copies a lot of people, and he's just, for some weird reason, just very unlikable. I don't know what it really is about him. Something about his face. I just want to, change your suck hole. But Mr. Rex Chapman was on CBS talking basketball. For whatever reason, CBS had him on the panel this week trying to talk about basketball. And they were talking about the Providence, I believe they're called the Friars, if I'm not mistaken, the Providence Friars, and their great story and all these other things. And one of their legendary coaches is by the name of Pete Gillen, former coach for the Providence Friars. And Rex decided to do all this big diatribe about, talking about the great Pete Gillen and some of the history that he had. This is only 11 seconds long, but I want you guys to enjoy this with me.
First time since 25 years ago when Pete Gillen had God Sham God. Rest in peace, Pete Gillen. There you go.
That was really nice of Rex Chapman to pay tribute to what the Providence Friars are finally doing again for the first time in almost 3 decades. When God Sham God was their point guard, I do remember watching God Sham God play in the NBA for a little bit. I believe it was the Wizards or some team like that. Mm-hmm. And he's paying tribute to Pete Gillen and saying rest in peace to Pete Gillen. And you notice that little awkward silence after that? Well, the reason why there was awkward silence is because the rest of the CBS crew knows something that apparently Rex Chapman didn't. And it's the fact that not only is Pete Gillen not dead, but he works for CBS as an analyst. The same network that Rex Chapman is on to do the same job. And he's sitting here throwing literally, we talk about give the guy the flowers. He was giving Pete Gillen's grave flowers before he needed to, before the grave's even there.
Maybe he was planning on killing him. I don't know.
Yeah, because if that's premeditated murder, you blew your load on that one, Rex.
If he dies today, now we know what the fuck's
Well,
going
somebody
on.
died. It was Rex Chapman on the set. I mean, he might as well have just said rest in peace, Rex Chapman's career, because that's what he really just did. Because he has been getting, since that, I mean, it's not even let up. I'm still seeing it all over Twitter. Because, again, people don't like Rex Chapman as it is.
Yeah.
Dude steals content constantly, copies people's takes, tweets, all this other stuff. So he was already a very unlikable character. And I don't mean to pile on Rex Chapman because I know he had addiction problems and things like that. I don't want to sit here and try to shit on the guy. This is inexcusable. Period, point blank. I don't care who you are. You got to make sure if you're going to be calling someone dead, you better know they dead. That's all I'm saying, guys. So Pete Gillen, and I love Pete Gillen was taking pictures and on the set going, and here's Pete Gillen, very alive and vibrant. Yeah, I'm not dead, like celebrating this.
Hey.
Yeah, gives Pete Gillen like this second life. Because, I'm sure a lot of people don't really pay attention to a lot of things.
Dead?
Yeah, but just to sit here and say that he's fucking... Yeah, imagine Pete Gillen. Is Pete Gillen dead? He's like on his own computer. Am I dead? Like, what the fuck's happening here? Like, do I know not something that, that Rex Chapman doesn't know? It's just hilarious. And I think it couldn't have happened to a better character because, like I said, people already feel a certain way. And when guys like him and Skip Bayless and dudes like that, who are already clowns as it is,
ready to pounce on
do
him.
something like that, it just makes it that much sweeter and that much more beautiful. So, Rex Chapman... do me a solid, brother, and hold this L. And we're not dead either, in case you were curious. If he's going to say rest in peace, Lance Twidwell, Eddie Ortiz, Trevor Twidwell, we're still kicking as well. We're
just ending the podcast.
Yeah, we're with Pete Gillen. We're still here.
Is dead.
Yeah, this episode.
We're still here. This episode's now officially dead. And our ratings are probably going to tank now that Rex Chapman's been brought up. But maybe he'll steal this tweet and maybe share a post. I don't know, guys. We'll see.
I'll take it.
But in the meantime, it's been a blast. I hope you guys are ready because next week I have it confirmed in writing now. A guy that is very successful on Twitter is actually having a great 24 hours. Mr. Arrowhead Live, Mr. Grant Morse will be joining us. I want him to flex his shit, as I said in my text to him just now. I wanted him to come on our show and definitely talk about all the right things he's been right about when it comes to the Chiefs and breaking news, because these verified accounts are getting pissed, people, and I absolutely love it. But in the meantime, this has been a fun show. 160 has been awesome. For Eddie Ortiz, for Trevor Twidwell, for the great Clay Windler that puts all this stuff together for us, I am Lance Twidwell. Episode 160 of the Spoken Podcast is done, finished, and finito. And until we're here in 161, just a week's time from today, we out of this bitch.